Alrighty, we are rushed and we are late for the VFL live show. Hope everyone's doing well. Making sure I mute the right thing here. Yeah, did miss the start of the game, but here we are. That's okay. Zebra's having a shot for goal. We might be just in time to see the first score of the game. One behind. One behind. Yeah, coming off a bit of a frustrating loss against the Saints. Keen to hear everyone's thoughts on that in the comments below once you all arrive. 4 points against the Saints. Oh wow, so they didn't actually score a point there. I went the early crow. Yeah, nearly got the point. Hopefully we can see some more impressive work from young Grill out there tonight. I think will be what we're all looking for the most. As Caleb Smith, he's been another interesting one. He's back on board now. We don't actually know where he went to, where he got to. He was kind of missing for a few weeks, but no one really knew why. But no, he's back out there tonight, which is good. So I think we need to win this to secure final/wild card. Maybe it's already mathematically possible even without it. I'm not sure if other teams around us have a bye or anything like that. But obviously, yeah, we would rather get the 4 points than not. But we've still got quite a few players missing from this VFL team too. So this is why I thought it was good strategically to have Sims go back down there to play VFL, because we've had no ruckman outside of, I think Blight was rucking, Cozzy was rucking, was Ruben Hansen, I think it was rucking as well. So just not sustainable when you're trying to secure or clinch a final spot. So this makes a bit more sense, although it's not working out great so far, as Blight takes another intercept mark. Say another, that could have been his first one. When I say another, I probably mean more in the context of blocks of games. He tends to do it on the weekly. JK, mate, I'm going well. Yeah, look, it was a frustrating loss against the Saints, wasn't it? I mean, I probably felt a bit more emotive and frustrated about it while watching it, and then maybe calmed down a bit and reassessed a few things as the dust settled. But in the heat of the moment, it was very frustrating. It was definitely a game that we should have won. As Elnor takes a really good contested mark, it was just our lack of finishing inside 50. Not so, I mean, kicking for goal is one thing, but our ball movement inside 50 is horrendous. We left so many chances on the table, like quick counterattacks, that we should have been able to find targets as we go inside 50 and Cozzy takes a mark up forward. Yeah, that for me was the biggest thing, not being able to finish our good work. And like, we know there's lack of cohesion up front. I'm trying to find what number Grill is. So Grill's number 54 for anyone playing along at home. Yeah, it was just, there was 2 or 3 quick counterattacks that we had that teams from about, let's call it 14th upwards, would have certainly scored a goal from. We had outnumbers, we had plays and spread out in all different parts of the ground, and we managed to kick it straight to a St Kilda player a couple of times. As Cozzy goes back and kicks the first of the game. Well done, Cozzy. It was frustrating, but Uze has said that our forward line is running off very, very basic instruction in game plan currently, and I dare say that that's the one thing that we need to address drastically next year, because I actually do think we move the ball reasonably well for a lot of the time from the back half to the front half, but it just falls to pieces in the front half, as we all saw. But yeah, look, silver lining, where we would collectively over the course of the season so far, we've been 2 goals away from winning 8 games and sitting 12th on the ladder. So not all things are bad. It's just those types of losses are frustrating. Helena, welcome. You're fuming at the start. It did start to feel like a goalless first half, didn't it? You're right. And I think if you were to talk to a lot of St Kilda people, I know I had Jake on for Behind Frenemy Lines, and I actually tended to agree with him that if St Kilda played their best and we played at our best, based on where the lists are at, it probably felt like they were a 30, 40 point better side than us. And they obviously did us by 80 earlier on in the year too. So the fact that we were able to obviously substantially reduce that margin was definitely a good sign. And I think we had 5 players different from that first game till today. So that was definitely a positive. I thought Taj Houghton still did some really good things and was another positive. Oh, Razzo's just gone in and tackled it. I think he thought that wasn't 15. But yeah, it's just our execution inside 50 just needs to sharpen up a little bit. Noel, how are you, mate? It's great effort by the boys considering they beat us by 80 odd points. Yeah, the first time. That's definitely a positive in terms of how we responded compared to previous week or the previous time. They notoriously match up well on us for some reason. So yeah, wasn't all bad, but definitely some frustrating moments. We can't afford to play Lynch in the VFL DC, unfortunately. I actually thought that he and Bolter looked okay up forward. In terms of competing in the air, I thought they did really well. Lynch had to take the forward 50 ruck contest. We probably just need some stability up there, don't we? And just understanding of who is doing what. And the biggest thing for me was the amount of times we didn't lead up at the ball carrier. We would be running backwards towards goal or just standing still. That's the bigger issue. And Lynch is very guilty of that, I will say. And this is where I think whether they need to get other forwards making different movements as well. I don't know, but they've kicked another goal, haven't they? That is the most annoying part, is the lack of coming up with the ball carrier. And then the one time Lynch does lead up at the ball carrier on a fast break, Camden McIntosh kicks it 25 metres over his head to the goal square straight to a Saints player. So it's like, you can't win. Can't win. But yeah, if I'm the coaching staff, I think we 100% have to improve on that part of our game as a priority for next season. And it doesn't have to be 110% improvement, because I know that's not realistic. But even if we improve our forward of centre cohesion and understanding by 10 or 15% next year, that will be enough to win a few more games than we have this year, because we'll be able to finish off the work of the ball movement down the ground. It'll make a huge difference. So it doesn't need to be a vast improvement, although we would love that, of course. But I wouldn't be expecting vast improvement for another 3 or 4 years, because we need some experience to come into play for the younger kids. But yeah, just needs to be incremental improvement. Anything will be better than what we're doing this year and last year if they add some structure and... Oh, good goal. Well done. Mansell just looked angry. He had a good game today, Mansell. I've seen a few people knocking him. I don't quite understand it, to be honest. He had I think it was 17 disposals, kicked a couple of goals, 7 tackles. I thought that was actually one of his better games for quite some time, to be fair. I didn't mind him. Why was Naz allowed to run free in the last quarter? It's interesting, isn't it, that I thought we defended him really well in the first quarter. I don't really feel like we tagged him either. I feel like it was just a bit of a team effort. Although Presty was probably side by side with him a lot. I wouldn't have called that a tag, more just making sure someone was thereabouts to keep him accountable. But yeah, look, I know Naz got 30 odd possessions, but 90% of them were cheapies from kick out, right? And, Ross made the smart move, as in Ross Lyon, to have him down there to take the kick outs. And I just think we maybe didn't react as quick as we could have to slow down his run through the middle of the ground. So that they pretty much just lined him up through the centre of the ground and just kept looking for him. But he's a good player, and good players are hard to stop. And Uze did say during the week that he was happy for us to go head-to-head and just see how it plays out. And, I mean, was he the difference? He definitely helped him in the second half, but I think we had more than our fair share of chances to win the game ourselves and didn't, that would have bypassed anything he did anyway. So, he was good without hurting us too much, I don't think. Yeah, not using the sub was interesting. Yeah. Is Steely playing tonight? I would like to assume they drove him down the highway to play this game, given he didn't set foot on the ground in the AFL. It was Yeah, you don't see it happen very often, do you? Um, I guess bringing on some fresh legs late in the game could have been a handy asset to have. I know Mansell had copped a knock early, but he recovered okay, I guess. Cosy doing the ruck work. I don't. I feel like I'm saying this because of what happened. I'm not sure how if it would be the right sub, but maybe he could have been sub for Camden because he was fairly well out in his feet. I don't know. But yeah, you can never go wrong having fresh legs on the ground late. So it was interesting to not do it. Um, and that's a call that Uze makes and lives with. And yeah, what happened happened, I suppose, but would have been handy. Would have been very handy. But just that Taranto's last inside 50, Camden McIntosh running too far, just basic fundamental errors that shouldn't be happening. Even earlier in the game. Oh, Razzo at the back on the goal. Was that Razzo? Yes, Razzo on the goal line takes a mark. Even earlier in the game, that Lynch missed kick, Vlosten missed some kicks that he should have hit. They're the ones that hurt. They're like Razzo with a goal. Beautiful. Lovely kick to the goal square, whoever that was. Not sure if Grill's on the ground yet. Oh, he's got a tackle. Wait, where's it gone? Okay, 54. Steely Green is listed here as well, so I'm not sure if he's actually out there or what's happening. I'll have to keep an eye out. Jake Brown is my favourite. I feel like he had a good game. I think the back six has been good for about a month, I reckon. Maybe even longer. I think they've been really solid. Miller and Young, I thought, again, were exceptional today. Brody was good. Vlosten had a quieter game and unfortunately had some bad skill errors at different moments that hurt. But yeah, Miller and Young were good. Brown just probably needs to get the ball a bit more. And I don't know whether that's his fault or whether that's system fault or what the go is. But he's a beautiful user of the ball. And like, not to harp on it, but that last bit of play, Camden should have 1,000% given that off to Brown earlier in that phase to utilise the depth and penetration of Brown's kick to get it deeper inside 50. So, yeah, I reckon they need to get the ball in his hands a bit more. Jack, what's going on? Sam Grill's number 54. 54. So he's had a tackle. It may have happened before I was able to get this to air because I was in a bit of a mad rush, but he's number 54, Sam Grill. Anthony, I think Miller and Young will be a massive part of our next premiership. Yeah, they look good, don't they? They look good. And even like late in the game, seeing Tyler Young like running to get handball receives to build the next play. I think he had two, kick to a contest, ran, got the handball, kick to a contest, ran. He was kind of becoming a playmaker, which is not something we've seen much of from Tyler Young in years gone by. And I like it. Obviously, the message went out there to get our skates on and go all out attack, essentially. But it was good to see. And I found it in recent weeks that we've been looking for Young in those moments as well. So the players obviously know something we don't in terms of maybe his kicking, whether it's depth, whether it's accuracy, whatever it might be, or his explosiveness. But he's been quite pivotal in some of those moments. So I'm actually really enjoying that part of Tyler Young's game. Really enjoying it. Yeah, look, Seth hasn't had who's that running? He's quick. Hasn't had a big month, has he? But, I mean, he's young. There was Sam Grill down back with the handball. There's going to be inconsistencies. He'll be better for it next year. I think I don't want his last few games to deter from how good his overall year has been. But he'll improve and become more consistent next year for sure. And I'm not trying to make excuses for him. And I know it might sound like it, but I do also keep in mind that in the second half of the year, he's definitely had a bit of a role change or other pieces added to his role that have maybe caused some inconsistencies. And that's okay because he's going to learn from that and he's going to be better off for the experience then hopefully be better for it in the long run, which I think he will be. And I think we will be as a side. So I'm not at all scared of that. I guess it's frustrating because what tends to happen, and it's annoying, is that all of our smalls will often have off days at the same time. Today, probably not so much. Actually, yeah, like I said, I think Mansell played really well. I thought Morris's pressure was really good. But yeah, we just didn't have other avenues to goal, did we? It was a bit frustrating. Didn't mind Bolter up forward again. That was a decent mark that guy took then. Behind for the Zebras. Russian, we have to go past Taranto. His foot skills are appalling. It's a really tricky run. I mean, obviously one of the last inside 50s, it wasn't great. He kicked a good goal though for us. That was clutch. Finds the ball a lot. I don't know. I really don't know. Because as frustrating as some of the skill stuff is of he and, say, Taranto as well, they've still been ultra vital to us being in games and winning games as well. I think we need to find a way to complement what they do, and maybe we have to find a way to not have them be the ones doing the last pass inside 50. And I know that's easier said than done because football's such a dynamic game. But if you can somehow substitute Taranto kicking that last ball inside 50 to Sam Lawler next year, we end up with a different outcome. And it won't always unfold that way. But we need to, I think there's still definitely value of them being in the side, but we need to find other ways to utilize their skill and get the ball in the hands of other players who can use it. Even if it's 5 or 10% better, it's still a win of sorts. But I'll be honest, as much as you guys all know, I've said all year that I haven't been thrilled with the CBA mix of Taranto, Hopper, Prestia for as long as they've gone with it. But I do genuinely have a lot of respect for Taranto and Hopper with the year they've put out. Given, just stop and think about the sheer workload of those two players attending near on 90% of CBAs of every game that we've played this year. It is a monstrous workload, and I have nothing but the utmost respect for what they've done and the workload they've shouldered. And I'm looking forward to seeing some of these young kids come in and give them a chop out, and hopefully that means we can mix things up and elevate them a little bit too. But they have shouldered an enormous brunt of the workload this year. And they probably will next year too, to be honest. So, I think with them at the moment, we've got to take the good with the bad until the younger kids catch up and can play genuine midfield minutes. Jack, North are so cooked. When do they play? Are they tomorrow or are they tonight? So, from memory, Jack, I think North have to win 2 games to get above Essendon without Essendon winning 1. Cannot see them beating Essendon. See them beating GWS, and they won't be beating Adelaide. And that's the beauty of, good mark, that's the beauty of the teams in the top 8 still needing, and the top 4 still needing to win. They're all going to be trying, so there's no drop off or no resting of players and shit like that. So it's actually kind of worked out okay for us. Oh, Peter, it seems to be a trend, mate. I haven't watched a VFL game for a few weeks, but from the large chunk we watched early in the months, wasn't great. Noel, do you think the Tigers should go for Rosa or Flanders from Gold Coast next season? I mean, it sounds like the Rosa one's travelling along fairly nicely. I'm okay with getting Rosa on board. I think he's evolved his position to be a bit more of a midfielder as well, but what it might mean is that someone else like a Campbell or Rioli might be pushing higher up, and then they get some more wing/midfield time, and then Rosa comes in and plays a role up forward. He's crafty, he's got X factor. I'm definitely not against it, and it shouldn't cost a hell of a lot either. Flounders, personally, I would absolutely try and get Flounders. Good mark, Cozzy. Well done. Good ball movement from Blyde as well. I would definitely be interested in Sam Flounders. I think he could step straight into a midfield or half-back role or half-forward, whatever we want, if he was wanting to leave and we could satisfy them in a trade sense. I guess the commentary then becomes, well, would we be taking away from other people's midfield time? We might, but as Cozzy goes, bang, get him in the ones. Jesus. But getting someone like Flounders in, whilst it might take away some of the midfield minutes from a younger player, we have to also acknowledge these younger players aren't yet built and ready to play bulk midfield minutes. So there's still a year or two before that happens. So it wouldn't be the worst idea. I think we need to get some plug-and-play players, is the short. No idea, Di, why Green didn't come on. It was a little bit confusing. We could have done with some fresh legs. Yeah, I'm not totally sure. But, Uze and the coaches have to own that one. Have to own it. That's a really good mark and goal. Yeah, unfortunately, we don't have a Malira Dewey Birdman at the moment. Someone might develop into one. And even like talking to Jake from St Kilda yesterday, not even St Kilda people thought Malira was going to have the year he's had. So even they thought he was a bit more of a slower burn. So it just goes to show how the form of a player, how they can excel so quickly in an off-season and start delivering better output unexpectedly. And hopefully we'll get some of that from some of our players. He's a special player, isn't he? He's very good. Yeah, Jack, it sounds like from the media reports that Rosa will be a good chance. So that's been from, I think, Cal Toomey and Riley Beveridge from memory. And they're pretty good in terms of their mail and things that they speak about. They're pretty well bang on with most stuff. And, we had Tiggs on Wednesday night. And we've said all along that Rosa wasn't necessarily a name that any of us had actually heard. But what Tiggs had said a few weeks ago, which kind of then ties into Rosa, was that we were going to be targeting and looking to add players in that 23 to 26 age bracket. Who that looked like, none of us were really sure yet at that stage, but Rosa fits that bill. So we're looking to bridge that gap of age. And yeah, it looks like he could be one on the radar. As we go inside 50 again, big pack. Oh, he's kept it in well. Yeah, Justin, it was a frustrating last quarter. Just left a heap of goals on the table. Experienced players, I felt, let us down a little bit. But you know what? We lost to them by 82 points last time, and this time it was only 4 points. So we've definitely shown some improvement. But we really should have won the game. Should have won it. That's okay, though. I don't think Rioli's carrying anything. I thought he did some pretty nice things today. Had that really big tackle on Taru, which was good. He had a couple of almost moments at the end too, where he was bursting through stoppage and just didn't continue with the ball. Gibus is out there too. I forgot about Gibus. I don't know how it's going to work, Tubby. I mean, the one that keeps popping up is Harry Scott. He's had a pretty good month of football, but I guess list spots is one thing, and then I don't know whether you look to just get him in the mid-season draft or how it might work, but he might be one that gets looked at not only by us, but I think by a few clubs. Gibus kicks to space. Good tackle. They've just got that man in front though. Good smother. Razzo's left it behind. Follows up with, I think, is that Steely Green out there in the middle? Good bump. That's a nice handball. Nah, he's going to get done holding the ball there. Good tackle. That's 50. That has to be 50. He's just booted it. We'll take that. Scruffy Alga's got a concussion. So he picked up a concussion last week on Wednesday during training. But again, it wasn't really reported on well. Like, I feel like I was looking for his update in this week's fitness or injury report, but I never saw anything. So he got and I only know about it because, in fact, I don't really know if it's factual. It's just a lot of people have messaged me telling me about it. So I assume that it's true. That there was, a concussion from him at training. Is Cozzy Joe the Goose? Cozzy gets himself 3 1/4. You go, boy, you go. So I believe it was a concussion, so he's still in protocol, but there was no mention of him in the report. So I'm a little bit unsure about where that's all at, to be honest. I don't know if we need to upgrade too quickly Rational Roman. I think we also need to be mindful of. We've got midfielders that we've just drafted that could ultimately end up becoming better than him anyway. So I think we've got to let that take its course. But at the same time, if the option to get a Butters or a Reed hypothetically pops up, who are better players than what we've got in the midfield, you take it. Same as a Flanders. I think he probably has some better skill set than some of those guys too. So I think we'll definitely be looking at different ways to upgrade in those areas. But we also just need to be mindful that we've got the draftees in that could also end up being better than them skill-wise too. And we've just got to let it unfold. What are your thoughts on the Taru versus Smiley discussion, Die Legacy? What a thread that is. Wowee. I think it's obviously way too early to be making calls on Smiley. Taru, both are going to be good players, right? Both sort of different players in their own right too. I get excited by what I hear about Smiley from internally, from like the players and whatnot, talking about how excited they are about what they're going to see from Smiley when it all comes together. 196 centimetre midfielders aren't all that common. And I'm super keen to see him hit pre-season, hit the ground running. And I'm glad the club are finally really transparent about what's going on there. Although disappointing with what had happened. It just the reports leading up to that kind of felt a bit wish-washy. I wasn't really buying it. But, and this might be a really dumb way to look at it, but it helps me sleep at night. Smiley's going to be like a new draftee next year. So I'm almost viewing him as a new recruit for next year. So that's a good thing. And I suppose that's the beauty of having 7 or 8 draftees, is that you don't feel it as much when you don't see a draftee playing. Go. Counter-attack football. Go, Yassine. Oh, curving. Oh, Jesus, just put it behind. At least we're somewhat accurate in the VFL, 5-2. Damien, how are you, mates? Yeah, Cozzy's doing well. 3 goals in the first quarter. Some strong marks too, actually. To be fair, some strong marks. Noel, what did you think about the free kick that went against Lynch in the last couple of minutes? Even the commentators were shocked. They thought Lynch should have got the free kick. When I first saw it, I thought it was really harsh, but on replay, Lynch was the player that didn't have his eyes on the ball, that grappled first. So I feel like it was probably there, to be honest. I feel like it was technical, but it was there. I was probably a little bit more perplexed. I really did feel like over the course of the game that Taranto, in particular, gets held quite substantially at stoppages. And he's often raising it with the umpires, but never gets much love. And, today in particular, we'll give credit where it's due as well. Oh, it's a good mark from Sandy. We did get paid a couple of blocks where our players like Harry Armstrong and Lynch both got blocked out of marking contests that I feel like don't always get paid. So it's good to see those get paid too. But ultimately, we just torched ourselves forward to centre, really, was all it come down to. The Van Rooyen best, yeah, I know. Those discussions, will happen for years, won't they? It doesn't matter what draft we're looking at. Every club's going to have those discussions. It's always interesting. It's, like I said, it's still too early. It's still too early. Smiley's unicorn hoops, sorry, mate. Yeah. And I know this will sound silly, but I think even as a club, I think I said this in the video the other day, but even as a club, we probably haven't dealt with a 196 centimetre midfielder of that size before in terms of development and growth. So even we're probably learning how it all works, and Smiley's probably trying to figure it all out too. So there's a bit still to play out. We'll get him right for next year, and he'll be, maybe it's Houghton and Smiley leading the charge for the rising star. Who knows? Exactly right, Die Legacy. It's like we have 3 early picks next year. That's how I'm taking it. Like I said, helps me sleep at night. Nuclear, how are you, mates? How many AFL listed players? Oh, Hoops has gone with 5, and I'll back him in. I'll count it up, though. We've got Cozzy, Caleb Smith, Jacob Blight, Josh Gibus, Tom Sims. So there's 5 named there, but Steely Green's name is on the bottom of the player list on the AFL stat website. So I don't know whether he is taking part later in the game. He's not registered a stat yet, so I haven't seen him out there. But 5, maybe 6. It depends on what happens with Steely. Hopefully he gets a run. Otherwise, that would have been a complete waste today. But going through the stats at quarter time, I'm going to hit refresh just in case mine hasn't updated, because I remember I've been caught out with that one before. Cozzy leading the way with disposals, 8 touches, 2 marks, 5 hit-outs, 1 clearance, 3 goals. That is a solid game so far. Elnor, 8 touches, Wilson, 7, Lockie Street, 7, Caleb Smith, 5, Giralami, 5 and a goal. Jeez, I don't have to say that too often. Sam Toner, 4, Scott, 4, Johnson, 4, Blight, 4 with 3 marks. Gibus has had 3, Sims has had 2 touches, and we keep going down the list. But Jack Lynch did 10 times better than last time game against Adelaide. Yeah, I thought Lynchy did okay. He did okay. Truthfully, my main criticism of Lynch and our other key forwards, I don't want to just pin it on the one bloke, just the amount of times we don't lead at the ball carrier. If we just did that alone, I think we would find we would get some better looks inside 50. But everyone running back towards goal or just standing there with their arm up, it's way too easy to spoil. I think that needs to be the evolution. And like we said, Uze has already said that we don't have a full-blown game plan or direction for the forwards yet. I think that's kind of being pieced together next year, hopefully. But we need that desperately. First game back, yeah. I mean, he missed a couple of goals that were probably on the harder side, I guess, Justin, the ones on the boundary. Then he got that one late, which was a timely goal that sort of kept us alive. But, yeah. Just need him to not be on the mark is my big thing. Like, we obviously got very lucky that Nasai got done for running too far. But in my videos and on Monday night, when I talk about not wanting Lynch to be the deepest forward and on the mark, that's exactly why. Because players like Nasai or anyone with a remote amount of speed can run around Lynch easily, and before you know it, they've gotten 75 metres down the ground, and we are out of sorts, and we can't afford to let teams do that. So that's why I don't want Lynch on the mark in those instances. He needs to be back a kick behind the ball or in the middle part of the zone. I think we can be better off for it. Paulie, how are you? Smiley will be a gun. I think our future midfield will be elite. I think I'm backing him in too, Paulie. I'm with you. I think, my real hope is that by this time next year, we won't even remember what happened in this last injury report, and no one will care. It'll be a thing of the past, and we will have enjoyed seeing a really nice season from Josh Smiley. So I'm definitely backing him in. Yeah, Nuclear. There was a bit of mystery about Caleb Smith. You're right. He kind of wasn't there for a couple of weeks, and there was no mention of injury. There was no mention of, personal leave. And maybe that they deliberately don't say that now, which it is what it is. But good to see him back out there. But we just, hadn't heard much from him, did we? Still, he needs time to digest his dinner. Maybe he got a zinger box on the way through, Tiger Mars. Smash down a zinger box and you'll get back out there. Yeah, Cozzy had a ripper first quarter. Got to respect the hustle from Cozzy. Yeah, Elnor should definitely be on an AFL list. I don't disagree. But this might not be popular, I just don't think it's going to be on our AFL list. Just don't think we are the team for him. As annoying as that is, we've got 7 or 8 key position defensive players anyway. We're probably about to trade Jacob Blight. It seems like it anyway. Yeah, he deserves to be playing AFL. I just don't think it can be with us. Which will unquestionably be another one that people will raise in the future. Why didn't we take him? There's nothing more certain. No, I remember you saying earlier this season that the Tigers should split one of their picks. The more I think about it, I could be right. Yeah, I tell you what, no, I've probably said a lot of things about those picks because I change my mind weekly. But that was one of the things that has been said, yes. Yeah. The Callaway one's interesting. I've been hot on him all year, and I probably got criticised early days about people saying I was talking him up a bit too much. But I could just clearly see he was what I thought was the best midfielder for Sturt 18s for bulk of the year, and he's had a super consistently good year, super consistent. Um, and I guess he's just victim of he doesn't have a really elite trait that everyone's like, oh wow, like big burst of speed, whatever it might be. But he does a lot of things really well. So I'm guessing he's creeping up the order. I don't know if we'll be able to get away with not using a pick on him and just a list spot. But yeah, I think splitting the pick does feel like it could happen. And, you know, if you saw behind front of me lines, there was a bit of a light bulb moment dropped on me by Jake from Saints TV that when talking about the Wanganeen Malira potential trade to Port Adelaide, that Port Adelaide supporters are even saying that, oh, Steely Green in the 64, Razzo, that could be in the back. No. So Port Adelaide supporters are even saying that if they want to get Wanganeen Malira, because I didn't realise this, but Port Adelaide have got zero currency at the moment. They don't have a first rounder, and they cannot trade a future first either, because you've got to use a future first every couple of years or whatever it might be. That we could be the ones to help broker the deal. And I hadn't even and then involve it in getting Butters. And I'd never really thought of that before. So we could then look to split picks with Gold Coast. They might want to get ahead of some of the bids to pick up a player before having to use points. And I'm not sure if Butters would even want to go to us as a club. And it's all just something new that I'd learnt that it could be a possibility. But yeah, I think splitting picks wouldn't be the worst option. I'd still like to use our first on Josh Lindsay. Still like to use on Lindsay. I think we keep Cozzy next year. Again, you don't want to cut too deep. That's a great kick for goal. You don't want to cut too deep. I'm pretty sure he's still contracted. Is he? I'll have to go and double check that. I do have a video coming out tomorrow about contracted players, so I should remember that, but I don't. Again, he's playing a role in the VFL, can come in, plug and play if need be, if worse comes to worse. So yeah, I think we'd keep him. I get what you're saying, Rational, but it takes time. I know you want it now, but it's not going to happen how you want it to happen, unfortunately. That's just the reality. Those kids are not ready to play bulk midfield minutes, so we will have to get used to the idea of Taranto, Hopper, Prestia, and so on getting bulk of that time, I would say definitely next year. And then maybe the year after, you'll start to see a bigger shift in the splits of midfield time. But we'll see a slight increase. But unfortunately, whether we all like it or not, that, Taranto, Hopper and whatnot are going to be deemed our best first cabs off the rank for midfielders. And then we'll see, Lawler, Houghton and co get drip-fed midfield minute times, and they'll have to just make the most of it. That's just unfortunately where we're at in the cycle of footy. But maybe they can find other ways to get the ball in the hands of those other players so they can be the ones kicking the pill inside 50. That would be nice. Yeah, it feels like Blighty's gone, doesn't it, Jack? It does feel like it. Tubby, Bolter played well forward. I agree. Probably the start of the debate again. You're not wrong, Tubby. You're not wrong. And that's another one I've flip-flopped with as well. For a long time, I thought he could definitely be a forward, and I still kind of stand by what I'm about to say. I still don't believe that we have seen Noah Bolter play forward in a Richmond side that is running at a good level. So because of that, I don't think we've seen the best of what he could be capable of. Like, he's playing in a forward line when we're typically needing an alternate solution and we're playing shit. So it's not really giving him the best chance to perform in that role, if that makes sense. So I'm kind of interested to keep persisting with it, because I really thought, good tackle, I really thought he performed well there today. He impacts the contest hard. If he can't mark it, he smashes the packs. He had that really good work on the wing against Taruri, paddled the ball out in front and just didn't give up. And I do like him as a backup ruck. I do think that he plays his best football on instinct. And I think playing as a forward and a ruck kind of allows that. And I know not everyone's going to agree with it, but with how well Young and Miller are going down back, I think we'd be crazy to disrupt that. And I would only swing Bolter back when needed. I wouldn't be against him playing forward a lot more into the future and beyond, to be honest. I'm all for it. Oh, that's a great kick into space. Oh, geez, they've nearly killed the goal umpire there. Oh, what number's Dodson? Is he playing for the Zebras, is he? Mansell's got a good boot on him. Yeah, he did. He played all right today, didn't he? He played all right. I thought Mansell had a good game. I always thought that Butters was going to get to the Bulldogs, but I'd happily throw a hat in the ring if he's interested. I think he'd be a great get if we could pull it off. Sonzi definitely improving, Paul. Agree. I thought he had a really good game today. He was our leading disposal getter for the first half. I think he was at half time, at least when I checked, he was at 80%. He's starting to feel like he thinks he belongs at the level and he's getting himself more involved. I think he's definitely done enough to earn another contract for sure, is just my view on that. So Benjamin, we don't actually. So the person who mentioned that about the best 22 player being targeted didn't actually mention the player. It was just someone in the live chat on the Monday night who has typically had good mail before. And Tiggs had also mentioned, and this was more of just Tiggs' opinion rather than him hearing something, but he'd also felt that if a club was to come knocking and asking about a Taranto or Hopper, for example, that we should probably listen. But like I said, that was more just his opinion, whereas someone did put in chat that they'd heard that, a top 8 club had been asking about one of our better players. But no, I still don't know who that is. So if I see that comment come up again on Monday, I'll try and do some digging. But no, not too sure there. I guess if we want to talk hypotheticals, Ben, how would you feel if one of those players, if one of them was Taranto or Hopper that was being asked about? Because I'm kind of guessing that's who it would be. Yeah, Damien, I think we have to give some serious credit to Jake Batchelor and the VFL team. I know early on in the season they had some quality players. That's a great kick for goal. We are on fire with our shots for goal. We obviously had some quality players come into the program, but there's also been a large chunk in the year where the VFL team's been decimated as well because the AFL team's been decimated and they've had to pull all the players up and then other players are coming in. I think they've done a tremendous job. And it's interesting because if you look at the injury report, we're about to get, not about to, but in a couple of weeks, Lafau comes back, Fawcett comes back, Samson Ryan might come back, Jasper Alga's going to come back. There's a couple of others. Who else was there? Campbell Gray might be a chance to come back. So there's going to be some good additions back into the VFL program once they hit that wild card or finals. So that's exciting. I'm not sure if Butters is 1,000% leaving, but it seems to be the noise. But I don't think there's anything concrete just yet. Yeah, Josh Lindsay's the pick for me from this year's draft. He's the best kick in the draft. So that's who I would be trying to get with our first pick if West Coast don't take him first. Dylan, Cozzy's having a ripper game. I'm not bullshitting you. He's having a ripper game. Taking some really, really good strong marks. Kicked the 3 goals. Doing really well. Honestly. Very, very good. Loving his work. Yeah, Jay-Z, Bolter was good today. I actually probably felt like today was the first time that I'd visibly seen Bolter more mentally involved in the game, if that makes sense. I'm not sure if anyone else felt the same way or not. Oh, Grill, going for a run. Get it back to him. But I thought Bolter definitely had his best involvement in a game for a while. And it helped us tremendously. And more of it, please. No, Bolter, more of it, please. A few people have speculated hoops that this may be K-Mac's last season. I think if we're signing Lynch and Prestia, you would have to say that one of those 3 would have to not be playing next year from a list spot perspective. And given the other 2 are about to be, well, Lynch just signed a contract and Dion's about to sign one. it sort of leads us to believe that maybe it is going to be Camden's last hurrah. But is it bought a house in Darley? Where's Darley? I'm not sure what that is. Yeah, I think that's a good call, Nuclear's days, about Sonzi. I definitely agree that I think Sonzi will keep getting better as the team gets better. And I know we all want and prefer players that can do the grit and the hard work. And I should reword that because he is working hard. I'm definitely not suggesting he's a downhill skier, but he will definitely shine more when more people are up and about and we're flying a bit better. I think he's definitely worth persevering with, for sure. Yeah, I've seen a few people say that, Jay-Z, that if we wanted to win, we would have tagged. As I said before, there was plenty of other things we could have done outside of the Malira thing to win the game that didn't involve him whatsoever, as the Zebras kick a goal. But we just didn't land the knockout punch when we needed to. Benjamin, keen to keep them both. Taranto's a must, being in that leadership group. Yep, and honestly, he's one of our best set shots at goal. Hops, great season. I agree with you. I just think as the years get on, we need to find a way to mix their roles up to be able to get other players into the midfield. And I chuckled a little bit at your Taranto set shot at goal comment, not because of what you wrote. Well, it is, but not at you. It's because I don't think I've seen Tim Taranto kick a legitimate drop punt set shot goal this year, but he somehow managed to nail him. It's extraordinary. And you can tell every time he kicks a set shot, he ends up looking like, fuck, how did that even go in? They're all absolute mongrels. Maybe one has been a legitimate drop punt. The rest have been just shithouse kicks that have gone through. We'll take them. We'll take the 6 points any way we can. But yeah, he's an interesting kick for goal. Old Timmy Taranto. But no, I agree. They've both had really good years, and they've had a big workload. I would actually be really interested to see how they both play once their workload in the midfield's reduced naturally by the other kids coming up and taking more minutes. I think we'll see some better progress from them. Yeah, Grill looks okay, Noel. Agree. Yeah, I am worried that West Coast will take him Nuclear. I think they'll almost certainly take Dyson Sharp as one of the players. And then it's just a matter of will they take CDT? Will they take Dersma? Will they take Lindsay? I don't know. I don't know who'll be up for grabs. That's right, Benjamin. I know there's... Oh, no one's touched that. Fucking hell. How did we not spoil that? That's shithouse. I know people are always keen to delist or retire a lot of older players, but you really do need to be careful about cutting the list too deep in one go. I really think the next 2 or 3 years for us is ultra important in terms of managing our older players. And by that, I mean, we cannot afford to have bulk of them retire or finish all at once. Like last year into this year, we lost 1,600 games experience. Oh, I used to work for Mark Wheeler. There we go. At the Stingrays. We can't afford to do that again. So I think we need to be very strategic about when our next lot of older players sort of retire and filter out of the system. So we definitely need to hold on to a few for sure. For sure. Wise K-Mac always a sale. He wasn't today, but I guess he can play multiple positions is probably the main reason why I would say he's sub fairly often. Good smother. I really don't think we need CDT, Tubby. I don't think I'd be happy with that pick, if I'm being honest. Yeah, Dersma I probably haven't seen enough of to have an educated comment on him. I know he can play. I just haven't seen what he's like in comparison as Grill explodes away from the stoppage again. Give it back to him. Go, Grill. One bounce. Oh, he got blocked. Could have got another give and go. Yeah, see, if I'm picking our draftees for this year, if we're taking our first 2 picks as they currently are, I'm taking Lindsay and maybe a Grill, maybe a Dersma, maybe a Sharp, another midfielder, maybe a Cumming. I reckon we trade for a ruckman when the time's needed. I think you can get a bit more success going that way. Razzo goals. We've got to try and keep putting a bit of a lead on here. BB, Son's getting some really good spots in play. Seems to be able to read it well, just lacks confidence. He had a few good passages of play where he cracked in today. Yep, 100%. And what I liked today as well, BB, is seeing Sonzy drop back into defence, running with the flight of the ball, taking marks as well. I know that seems simple, but that does take courage to do that when you're of short stature. So I think I thought he had another really good game. I think he's starting to warm into it and realise that maybe he does belong if he plays the way we need him to play. And I know I've been maybe a bit more of a supporter of Sonzy early days than maybe a lot of other people, but I do think he's repaid the faith in some way, shape and form, and I do think he's worth persevering with next year. Because we talk about hitting targets. I think we would be negligent to get rid of the kid who can hit targets. Like, the skill set side of things is the stronger suit of his game and is actually quite valuable. Dylan, do you think Harry Scott for the VFL side can make it the next step to AFL? Yeah, it's a good question, Dylan. I think he'll definitely get looked at from clubs. He's not shooting the lights out today at the moment, but prior to that, he's had a really good month of football. I definitely think he'll get looked at. I'm not sure if it will be for a national draft selection, but maybe when the time comes for like a rookie spot or a mid-season draft or something like that, I think he'll definitely be in the mix, as will a few of our other VFL players. Like, it's a pretty strong program. It's a credit to the club. We've had a strong program for a while in the VFL. And I guess as a supporter, it can be annoying because we end up missing out on all these kids ourselves because other teams get the picks first. Oh, Toner, lovely work. Chipped into space. Oh, geez, that was dangerous, Razzo. Holding the man. No. Oh, well done. Giolani. He did well to not bumble that at all. That's a great goal. I thought we might have given away a free kick there, but that was good. Again, rational. I know what you mean, but we have to be patient. It's not going to happen overnight. And no matter who we draft this year, that won't change anything for next year with Taranto. He's going to be still in there doing his thing. The only way it changes is if we bring in an already made midfielder like a Butters, for example. So I get what you're saying and I agree with you. I just think we need to manage our own expectations on when that shift to being ahead of the curve will happen, because it won't be next year, because we've got to wait for these youngsters to get physically able to play those midfield minutes to then push Taranto out. Like, until they can push him out, he will be in there. Maybe on less minutes, which will hopefully see a difference in what we're wanting to see. But he will be in there, mark my words, from round one next year. Nuclear Days, quite simply, the knock on Dersma, and it annoys me to no end. People are not wanting him because of his surname. It is the most dumb shit reason you can think of. People just, for some reason, don't love the Dersma surname, but that is most certainly not the reason why you wouldn't draft a kid. And I would be very strong in suggesting that the club don't really give a shit about the surname either, to be honest. It's crazy that people have that mentality legitimately, that they don't want to draft the kid because his surname's Dersma. It blows my mind. The only thing with Dersma is I don't know if he's landed in a solid position yet. I think he played VFL, it might have been today for Melbourne, and was playing at one stage in a back pocket. I'm not sure if he got moved up the ground later on at all. But it's good to see these other under 18 kids getting some VFL time too. Sonji could definitely roll through a wing. No reason why he couldn't. There's probably a few plays that could, to be honest. Yeah, definitely getting a gun mid's better. I mean, like I know I put the thing up about TDK. If he was happy to come for $1 million a year, I'd happily pull the trigger. But I also equally acknowledge that we can definitely find a new ruckman in trade when the time comes and getting in someone's backup ruck who's not playing. Most definitely that can happen, and it probably will what happened, to be honest. It's just an easier way to do it, and it means you can target more midfielders, which I think we might be better off with. At the moment. Chris, if Richmond draft CDT or Dersma, trade a pick, whatever they do, I'll back them. Yeah, that's a good call as well, Chris. I know, obviously, Chris Toshay, bless him's no longer with us, but the wisdom and knowledge he would have imparted on the rest of the crew. Ry Geeshan's a really good recruiter in his own right as well. And like we said, the draft we had last year was definitely a Chris Toshay legacy draft. But I think I would definitely be of the same mindset as you and back the club in with whatever they decide. I won't lie. I would genuinely question the need for CDT. But again, I would back in their long-term vision as to the rationale behind it. It probably just wouldn't make a lot of sense to me for the now, to be honest. But long-term, I'll back them in. Damien, how are you, mate? Gibus is going okay. He is up to... trying to find my stats for you. 5 disposals. The Zebra's kicked another goal. He's been doing okay. Not setting the world alight, but to answer your question in conjunction, Brent, I do think that Gibus will get a game this year. I might end up being wrong. I reckon he'll play the last game against Geelong. And it might really come across as a token gesture game. But I just think it would be good for his own mental strength and health to realise he can still do it at AFL level. And maybe he'll play better being in an AFL system. I don't know. Like, he's not putting up big numbers in the VFL, but it's probably hard to do as a key defender as well. He's definitely getting a bit more involved as the weeks go on. But I do think we'll see him at AFL level. Again, I might be completely wrong, but that's just my reading of the tea leaves. Dylan, apparently a mixed game for Dersma for Casey. Credited as a big reason as to why Casey were good today, but also apparently gave away the free kick that nearly lost Casey the game. That's a genuine mixed bag, isn't it? Do you know at all, Dylan, if he ventured further up the ground at all, or was he just in the back line? Like I said, the last I heard he was playing in the back pocket, but hopefully that changed. It's such a shame that we couldn't get Louis Kellaway across to play in the VFL as well. There must be some limitations from the Sandful in that space. Lay the tackle. Jesus. Hawk Team, what's going on? Welcome. Oh, blight that shit. McGuinness just floated in from the side. You've got to spoil that. Benjamin Batchelor said Gibus is possible to play AFL if form warrants. I agree. I think so too. It's just really hard to gauge a genuine form line from key defenders. Like, I feel like if we're to look back a few weeks earlier, it feels like that someone like Tyler Young, for example, his form really stood out. Like, it was really like, shit, we can't ignore this. I don't think I'm feeling that yet for Gibus. Maybe it happens in the next week or two. I know we're running out of time, but... Aussie kicked it. Yep, Sandy got another one. They're not going away. We do need to win this game too. Do need to win. Paul, should we look at Karmas and Roses? Both would be cheap and give our forward line a bit of X factor. Well, it seems like, Paul, that the Roses one, I don't want to say is done because it's obviously a long way out, but from all the reports in the media, it seems like we're well and truly right in the mix for Rosa, and I think it'd be a good addition. Karmas, I'm not sure. Again, if he probably fills the right age bracket. Basically, anyone who's kind of in that 23 to 26 age bracket that can fill a role for us that's an upgrade in certain areas, I'm all open for. I think it will help long-term being able to get players like that. It might be nuclear of, I don't know. It's really hard. Like, I feel awful talking about a farewell for K-Mate because he's been such a good servant of the club. But I do acknowledge that the time comes for all players And I just think that there's probably players in our current system that can do the role on the wing. Yeah, I think it might be. I think it might be. Oh, holding the ball. Geez, the Zebras are pushing again for another goal here. Plight diminishing his trade capital. I feel like it'll just be a token pick. Oh, Gibus missed that spoil. Jesus Christ. Yeah, it feels like if Blight's traded, it'll just be a potential token pick to help us get Louis Callaway is all it kind of really feels like. Because I don't know, I still feel like that Louis Callaway's creeping up the draft board. He's definitely been a really ultra consistent performer this year in the VFL. And I see a lot of comments knocking him that he hasn't played senior footy yet. But Sturt's seniors are 15-0. No one's making it into that side. They're not making any changes, and they're obviously going pretty well health-wise because they're 115 on the trot. So that's why he's not played senior football. It would be lovely, of course, but oh no, Jesus Christ! Another goal. If I got the score right, I've missed a point for the Zebras. Yeah, it is good that Green's playing. Okay, so Dersma had about 20 disposals, 6 intercept, 4 tackles. That's not so bad. Don't mind that. Karmas is a swing man. Not the worst thing either, though, is it, Hawk Tim? It's not the worst. Scruffy, wondering if we didn't activate Green as a sub so we could play a full game of VFL. Possibly, but maybe, but it's like if you're going to do that, just name him in the VFL and make someone sub who you're going to use. I don't know. Maybe it got to a point where that ended up being the thought process. That's why I thought Sims got dropped to help with the VFL, because we don't have a ruckman. But yeah, it's interesting. Michelle, welcome. Glad everyone's here for the VFL. Yes, it's good. Yeah, it was good, Michelle. I did like Bolter and Lynch up forward today, as much as there was a couple of times I felt Lynch should have led up to the kicker that he didn't. I thought Bolter competed really, really well. Fought hard at contests. And I said before, it was probably the first time for a little while I felt like he was mentally engaged in the game. And I enjoyed what he offered. He got a nice snap goal, competed hard, brought the ball to ground, rucked okay, and I thought he added a bit of X factor there too. So I liked what he offered, and then it helps kind of release Harry Armstrong a bit more. Where are we? Paul, I think KMX had a decent year, but can't keep them all. Yeah, and that's the thing, Paul. I think it kind of, from the outside looking in, it feels like that between Prestia, Lynch, and K-Mac that we were maybe always going to keep only 2 and lose 1, and it seems like that might be now decided. Oh, that could have almost been a free kick to Sandy. Tell you what, they've had a pretty good last 5 minutes here, the Zebras. Oh, El Noor got shoved out there. Yeah, free kick. There we go. Surprised still he was allowed to play. Yeah, I'd like to know what the ruling is. Like maybe is it if you set foot on the AFL field and play minutes, you can't. It would be interesting to know. It really would be. Yeah, Shorty I thought wasn't... Shorty probably didn't stand out for me as much as doing some bad things as what K-Mac did, unfortunately. But I think just as a collective team, we just left too many goals on the table, didn't we? That's a monster kick. Oh, good pass. That was lucky. Flanklin, who are our better AFL listed players eligible to come back and play VFL finals? Bear with me a sec, Flanklin. I'm going to look up the latest, because I remember talking about it or thinking about this when I was looking at the last injury report. Because there was quite a few there. There's quite a few there that will be coming back. So I'm just bringing it up now. So McKelty Lafau is 1 to 3 weeks away. Liam Fawcett 1 to 3 weeks. Hayes Brown 1 to 3 weeks. So that's 3 players so far. Oh, go. Oh, Steely. Is that Cozzy? Cozzy's kicked 4. Cozzy's kicked 4. Jesus Christ. So Lafau, Fawcett, Hayes, Brown are back in 1 to 3. Kane McAuliffe, 3 to 5. Campbell Gray, 3 to 5. Samson Ryan, 3 to 5. And that's everyone else. So what's that? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So that could be 6 players coming back into the VFL program at some stage during wildcard or finals. And then you got Jasper Alger as well, who's not playing today either. Who'll come back and play a role. And I'm thinking that like Noah Bolter could play a role in the VFL because I'm sure he will have played enough games to qualify. So he could be an option too, which would be interesting. I don't know if Tash Houghton might have played enough games as well. Not sure what happens there, but Dylan Dersma's someone that's going to start off the half back line when he gets drafted. Possibly. If they grab Dersma, they being West Coast, grab Sharp and Dersma with 1 and 2, and that allows us to get Lindsay, that'd be a huge result, I reckon. What do you got hawked in for Bolter's new role? Darren Armstrong's going to be a gun. He just looks tough. He does look tough. You're not wrong. This 18-year-old goes in hard and does tear packs apart. He does smash in, doesn't he? Like he's got no fear cracking in the contest. It's really good to see. And the thing is, it's not only Armstrong, but like Jonty Fall and Sims are the same. But I just feel like that Fall and Armstrong do it more often at a higher level. Yeah, cause he's on fire, Jack. Got to respect the hustle. Melanie, so I watched the press conference and they just didn't feel the need to activate him as sub. They said that Mansell obviously was a bit proppy earlier on with an ankle, but he come good, and there was no other real reason to do it. There's obviously tactical that they could have gone with, but yeah, they just didn't do it. So I suppose, and Uze said, I've got to own that, and he has. But yeah, it was interesting to say the least that we didn't do it. And Lynch will be on. So pretty much Lynch and Prestia will be on absolute base wage next year. They're pretty much doing it to help us out, say thanks for the good memories, and to help coach and guide these kids through. So I think this year was the last year of the big money for Lynch, and it goes back to fairly well-based level for he and Prestia, from what I understand. Oh, good spoil. Oh, no, rush that through, son. Oh, jeez, he just dropped it. Samson Ryan is a keeper with Hayes Brown and Sims doing okay. Well, Samson Ryan's contract until 2027, I think. Or is it 2026? I think it's 2027. So he will... Oh, gosh. I think he will be on the list no matter what. I feel like Kalina might not be on the list. But, yeah, Ryan, Hayes Brown and Sims will be rucking in VFL. Sims obviously makes some AFL appearances. But it kind of feels like Sims has maybe already bypassed Samson Ryan even at AFL level, doesn't it? Oh, Chris, I'm with you. I'm pumped for Cozzy. Like the guy and I've said this before, he has busted his ass for us playing defence in the VFL and done a pretty good job, which has allowed our younger defenders time to work it out and to get better. It's been such a thankless role. So to see him get some reward for effort from kicking some goals, maybe warrants another call up. I reckon good on him. I'm all for it. I'm all for it. You want Bolter to be a defensive forward, Hawk Tim. How would you envision that working? I don't think he's nimble enough or small enough to be a defensive forward. I just like him being attacking the ball forward. Jake, I thought Sonsy's game was good today. He was our leading disposal getter for the first half at about 80%. I'm not sure what he finished off the game at, percentage-wise, but I liked he was running back to defence to help out, taking some courageous marks and helping out with the chains. I thought he had a good game. I think he's starting to settle into the role and feeling like he belongs, I would offer him another contract if it was me personally. Alex Davies from the Suns would be a good pickup. Plays in the midfield. Didn't he just have a massive game on the weekend? Was that him who had a monster game, Damien? Yeah, Toner does look good, John. He does look good. Sims, he's not physically ready yet to play as the first ruck, Samuel. I think long term, maybe. But I guess he was drafted as a forward ruck. I actually thought he was drafted as a ruck forward, but it turns out it was a forward ruck. I'm not sure if he's grown anymore since being drafted to the club, but we'll definitely see him doing some ruck duties in the AFL, like we've already seen in the rest of his career. But I don't know whether the club view him as the number one ruck. I feel like we'll trade in for that, because it doesn't feel like there's anyone else on the list that can do it. What's the score in the other game, Jake? What's the score looking like? Will we have any rookie selections? I just don't know how many list spots we'll have, Jack, is probably the trickier part of it. Samson, yeah, I don't know. There's honestly a small part of me that still has hope that he'll click, but I feel like that's diminishing. He's obviously been pretty unlucky with the plantar fascia injury, but he'll have. I mean, realistically, this is where I'm torn, because he's still technically young for a ruckman, but I don't think he's shown enough to suggest he's going to kick on. But next year would have to be make or break in some capacity, although he is still contracted till 2027. I think Hayes Brown's going to come along really well. I'm actually excited to see what he can do when he comes back. If he didn't get injured, I would have actually thought that Hayes Brown could have played an AFL game by the end of the year. Like, God love Nankin what he does, but he looks spent, and rightfully so. That's definitely not a criticism. He's just done a mountain of work this year. And I wouldn't have been against playing... Yeah, I would have been against playing Hayes Brown at some point, but he's obviously hurt. So, don't think we will see that. Oh, was it against Brisbane? Was it? Okay, there you go. I just remember seeing Alex Davis' name pop up with some big numbers. Port 2, Freo 14. Oh, that's actually not good, the Bolton's kick too, because I literally just dropped him from my Supercoach draft side in finals. Okay, so Seth Campbell will have to be elevated to the main list. So there will be a spot. Interesting. Is Cam McKenzie from Hawthorn gettable? Allegedly not happy at the Hawks. Yeah, I don't know. I think we'll be exploring a lot of options, I reckon. Anyone that we can shake loose, I think we'll have a proper crack at. And fair enough, too. Where are we? Trying to find the stats. Elnor now leading the way for disposals. Oh, pardon me. 14. Cozzy, 13 disposals, 4 goals, 3 marks, 8 hitouts, 2 clearances. What a game. Lockie Street with 12, Harry Scott 11, Joel Garner 11. Grill up to 10. He had a quiet first quarter, but a big second quarter. 4 kicks, 6 handballs, 1 mark, 2 tackles for Sam Grill. Seemed like that that Batchelor was very keen on keeping him around. I also knew, okay, so they reckon that Cam McKenzie's staying. Interesting. But yeah, I think we're in for a bit of an interesting off-season. So yeah, it definitely sounds like we're going to be trying to be active and adding some experience. When I say experienced, like I said earlier, just that 23 to 26-year-old type age bracket, like your Grigg and Hawley type role players. But I guess you need to just try and find a way to make sure that the players we bring in are either upgrades or potential upgrades on what we've already got. So that's probably the tricky part. But we'll back the club in. Yeah, it seems like Grill will be up on the list of wants, Samuel. It'll be interesting to see if we try and get Josh Lindsay in. Like, I wonder what's the actual ruling on how this works. Do you have to apply to have the young players come in and play? Like, how does it all work? It's really cool that you can do it though. I think it's great that the young Coates kids get a crack at it. Kicking's definitely key, isn't it, Rational? It's definitely key. The more players who can execute those kicks, and that's what led us down today, wasn't it? Really, and it was some of the senior players that just weren't hitting their targets, and it caused some bad turnovers, which was really frustrating. I actually don't mind when kids do it if they're trying to take off a bit of a dangerous kick, but when your experienced guys are doing it, it's a bit frustrating. He's been very good at this level, hasn't he, Cozzy? Heels, should Nank hand over the captaincy to free himself up for the rest of his career? Yeah, it's an interesting one. I mean, I guess we probably all felt that he may have done that this year. I think if you were to go back to a lot of our videos in pre-season, I reckon a lot of us thought that it was going to be handed to Taranto this year. I was certainly one of those people, but I think I'm ultimately happy that it stayed with Nank. I think he's had a really good year. My criticism of Nank as captain previously was more to do with his lack of discipline, giving away bad free kicks. He really hasn't done that this year. He's actually been super disciplined and been, I felt, a genuine proper leader on the field. Like he's shown his presence, thrown his weight around, made the big tackles and the big bumps, but he's not done anything stupid. He's not given away 50s and shit like that. So I think he's had a really good year. Taranto would have been my other choice, and I think we would have done okay at that level as well. Should he do it again next year? I mean, if he's not going to do it, it would have to be Taranto, I think, by default. I don't think Boston wants it. I think Broad, it's his last year, so he's not going to do it. Lynch and Prestia in their last years, so they won't do it. Wouldn't be short. Who else would there be? I just don't know where else it would sit. Like that, my only other left field thought would be, and this is very left field, but if for whatever reason Butters was willing to come to us, that would maybe be the carrot to dangle. Maybe not for next year, but maybe if he came across next year as a player and then the following year was captain, so give Toby another year and then handball it across, I wouldn't be against that if we thought Butters had leadership qualities and that's something he wanted to do and it was a carrot to get him across. And then you're kind of buying time to see what your Lawlers, your Smileys of the world do in that space, and they would be the next crop coming through, I suppose. Nank in the crowd. Is he at the Carlton Suns game? Please tell me that the Suns are smashing them. Yeah, West Coast will get... Well, see, it's interesting because I keep seeing little bits and pieces that apparently Alan wants to stay at West Coast. I don't know if I quite believe that or not, though. Because he was the one who kind of actively sorted to go to these meetings with other teams. So I don't know whether I buy into that, but it feels like the AFL will manufacture a way for that to be pick number 2, which is a bit annoying. Ken Butter staying at Port for 2026. Is that official? Is that I haven't seen anything publicly on that. Is that locked in? That would be breaking news if true, because that definitely wasn't the case as of yesterday. Dylan loved Nankervis not only as a captain, but as a team player ever since he joined. Also think there's uncomfortable... Yeah, well, there's an uncomfortable combo to be had. I think when it comes to captaincy, I reckon that captains know when they're probably not performing as well. I really do think that he's had a good year this year. I think he just needs a bit of support, I guess, which would be nice. Damien, wish our AFL side kicked as well for goals the VFL team. Tell me about it, Damien. I know. We've been 2 goals away from winning 3 more games. Can you believe that? We could have been on 8 wins and sitting 12th if we had to kick 2 more goals. Crazy. Vlosten doesn't want it, Nuclear. He doesn't want it. I think if you're going to make Vlosten captain, it would have had to have been 3 or 4 years ago, but he never wanted it, unfortunately. Taranto, a no-brainer. So did his manager say that he's a required player at Port Adelaide, or did he say we're not entertaining ideas, he's definitely staying? That would be interesting. And annoying because It felt like that we could have brokered part of that deal for St Kilda to get Wanganeen Malira. Was that today that he said that out of interest? Because I'm not even sure the Saints supporters know about that part yet. Suns by 17 points. Okay, good. Tom Brown, rational for captain. I don't know how you really measure what a good captain looks like, but would you want to see someone like Brown being a bit more prolific with getting the ball and having impact on games before considering captaincy? I guess it depends on the player type you want as captain. It's a really tricky one. Yeah, I don't know, Paul, about Hinkley. I think that we would, and I think a lot of clubs would be definitely open to having Hinkley come on board as like a director of coaching. If I was to place a bet on this, my bet would be that Hinkley will end up at Carlton as a coaching director, only because he and Voss have got a pre-existing working relationship at Port, and I think that would probably trump what most other clubs could offer, because I think they got along really well from what I understand. I definitely wouldn't be against having him come across in some type of capacity like that. But my instinct says that he will end up at Carlton if I was to take an educated guess. Jesse, Gibus is doing okay. He's had 5 disposals, 1 mark, 1 tackle. It's probably really difficult for the key defenders to get into the game in a big way. I was saying before that Tyler Young was having monster games week in, week out. We kind of haven't seen that just yet with Gibus. I still think he might get an AFL game in round 24 though. But he's getting through and doing okay. He's doing okay. Yeah, Tiger Mars Nang was good. I really do think he needs some proper assistance. And I think Bolter is that guy who can do it. I think he can give him a genuine chop out. But Nang's had a monster year. All credit to him. Oh, the midfield issue. Yeah, I suppose, Dylan, it's always been Nank's main weakness, right? As much as he's a warrior and a beast around the ground, he's not really that good of a genuine tap ruckman, because he's probably one of the shorter ruckmen in the competition. Like he's actually quite undersized compared to all other ruckmen going around. So not very often do we actually get first genuine use of the ball from a hit out. It'll happen if he's able to get good body position and the ball kind of moves towards his way and he can block him out. But in a straight throw up, for example, very rarely will he get first hands to the ball. And that's why there was so much appeal for me with Samson Ryan, because he is actually not a bad tap ruckman because he's substantially taller than Nankervis, but he just doesn't do much else around the ground. So yeah, and like I know 199 is tall for us mere mortals, but in a ruck sense, competition wide, it's actually not that tall, is it? Like even the St Kilda young ruck today was about 204, 205, I think, from memory. And Rowan Marshall, I'm not sure how tall Marshall is. I would hazard a guess he's taller than Nank. Without having done any research on this, I wouldn't be surprised if Nank was the shortest number 1 ruck in the competition. If he's not the shortest, he'd have to be in the bottom 2 or 3, surely. And it makes a big difference. It makes a big difference. Reading the comments. Wouldn't surprise if teams in the premiership window try to trade for Vlosten. They might ask the question, Andrew. You would think they would. I would say from our perspective, Vlosten's untouchable. I just think his calmness and presence in the back line to help educate and pass stuff on to your trainers, your Browns and all that kind of stuff is too valuable. So we might get a bit stubborn with that, I reckon. Hawk Tim, TT and Hopper's skipper. Would you go co-skippers, you reckon? Jake, will Trainer come in next week? I think he will. I think we all definitely agree he needed the week off with that hip complaint. I mean, it probably depends on if the hip was just needing a week off to calm down. This feels like a long halftime break. Has the game started back up yet, or is my thing just not loaded? Anyway. Who'll be winning our best and fairest? Winning the BNF, yeah, Paul, I think any one of those 4. I would guess that Taranto and Hopper will be way up there. Miller could be too. I think you can't go wrong with that 4. If you were to pick a first 4, that's the first four you're going with. I just don't know the order. I think that's almost a certainty. Okay, so Ken says, the manager said he was asked directly if he was going, and Neeson said he is a contracted player and will be at Port in 2026. Look, I appreciate filling us in. I just have a trust issue with what player managers say. So I'm not saying you're wrong, because I appreciate you coming and telling us that. I just don't trust player managers as far as I can throw them. All that does is drive up the price to get Zach Butters. And he may very well stay, but that, for me, it'll be one of those I'll believe it when I see it, but I do appreciate the filling in of the information. Because I think St Kilda kind of need him to go to help broker the deal for Wanganeen Malira, or Port need to find currency to get Wanganeen Malira, and he's the only player that can get out the door to get the currency. So I actually think that they need that to happen if they want to get Nasiah. Okay, the boys just come back out in the ground. Okay, so maybe the VFL stream on the AFL site kicks in soon. Greg is the shortest premiership ruckman in AFL VFL history. Darren, very good. How good was that? That was such a great gag, wasn't it? The Greg ruckman. How good was that? Bo, I really liked the Tyler Young run from the back line. I was saying earlier, it's been quite noticeable that there's been a couple of weeks now where he's actually started a lot of run and carry, like kicking to one contest, following it up, getting the next handball receive and kicking it long again. It's getting close to being a set play. Like, it's almost like the players are mindful to get it into the hands of Tyler Young, which seems kind of bizarre given he's a key defender and that we've got Banks and Short who can do the same thing. But it's like it's a whole new skill set he's added to his game. It's been interesting. What's everyone else thought of it? I've really enjoyed it, to be honest. I like it. Be nice. Oh, I know, Brent, wouldn't it? Nick Vlosten does deserve a look in at AA level, doesn't he? And Rational, that's true as well. And that's a very good point, that chasing the flag won't be at the top of the list. Like, he's already climbed the mountain 3 times. So that is a good point. That is a good point. Andrew, I think there'll be a lot of people who may be a little bit off on Miller. And I truly believe that people's perceptions of Miller were created because of the last 5 games of last year. Because if you ignore the last 5 games of last year, he actually had a really good season last year. He was ranked in the top 10% for the one-on-one contest and all that kind of stuff. But the last 5 games, as a collective team, we were shit. And he was very much a part of that and victim of that. And I think that's what left a lingering taste in people's mouth and memory. So I'm kind of not surprised he's had the year that he had, because he was showing those signs last year too. But he's probably gone to a new level, especially with his disposal. I think his disposal's been really good. And to EJ's point on a lot of our Monday night shows, he's gradually improving and getting better at making quicker decisions, which allow counterattacks to happen. So he and Young have been quite pleasantly surprising in terms of their disposal from the back line. It's been good. Oh, there we go, Hawk Tim. Thank you for that. So Nank is the equal shortest ruckman, the equal shortest number 1 ruck. There you go. Who's the other one? Do you know who the other one was? So that's why, and that's what I mean by our midfielders don't get first use of the ball very often, because Nank is the shortest ruckman in the comp. So it would be nice to have a giant out there, wouldn't it? And that's where I hope that Hayes Brown comes along, because he's upwards of 200. Is he like 208 centimetres, Hayes Brown, or something like that? That's where it'd be good to have him giving us some silver service. Eons, I mean, we could see Razzo's another interesting one, isn't he? Because does look good at times. I like it better when he goes up the ground. But would he be getting a game ahead of Steely Green, who I know didn't come on the ground today, but would he be getting a game ahead of Steely Green, Ryan Mansell, Seth Campbell, Morris Jr., or Jasper Ralga? So that would be my question first and foremost, because it would seem kind of pointless to upgrade him or take him from the rookie list to be an AFL listed player to just keep playing VFL. I think there could be a world in which he does make an AFL list. I'm just not sure if it's for us. And especially if we're linked to Rosa as well, that's another one who's going to be ahead in the queue. So I just can't see how he would get the game time. if that makes sense. Hawk Tim, I noticed something. Oh, here we go. Having a shot for goal here. Oh, no, bad kick. I noticed something in the game, and Tyler started at half-back. He was right in half-back. Yeah, he's starting to do some creative runs, young Tyler, which is good. Ben Miller's kicking is a joy to watch, Rational. It's 100% improved, hasn't it? Like, it's actually refreshing and nice to see when you can visually see that players have put in a shitload of work into an aspect of their game and it's now paying off. He and Young take off some dangerous kicks, but they hit him more often than not, which is good. Exactly right, Dave. I mean, Adelaide what were they, 15th last year or something around that mark? Look, to be fair, Adelaide definitely underperformed massively last year. All the noise from them was they believed they were a top 8, top 6 side, and I kind of agreed with it. What hurt them last year, I thought, was Thilthorpe going down on the eve of the season starting. Their forward line is so hard to match up on this year. Thilthorpe, Fogarty, Tex Walker is dangerous. And they've got the other quality players around them, the smalls and the mediums, with Rankin, Rochelle and whatnot. They're doing really well. They'll be a genuine threat. So Hayes Brown's 2.08. So he would automatically be a better chance of giving our mids first use of the ball because he's actually a taller ruckman. And that's why I kind of deep down really hope that like Kalina would come on. I know that's a bit of a Hail Mary and it hasn't happened, but you'd love to have like a 210, 211 centimetre ruckman who can seriously play, put the ball down players' throats and give you first use. It'd be nice. Andrew, wish we had a mature key forward to go with Lynch. So much to expect these kids. I don't disagree, but I really do think that Bolter can be that player. And I know that might not be the popular view, but I thought he did well today. He competes hard in the air, competes hard on the ground, kicked a nice goal. I think the more he does it, the better he'll be. And I think it's now something we can consider a bit more seriously because we've seen that Miller and Young coexist and work really well together as the back two key defenders. So I think it's something we can keep persisting with to allow more time for these kids to develop and grow. Samuel, one-on-one stats don't mean much. They mean a little bit. It means not getting beaten one-on-one. At least they're not marking it. I mean, I would rather him have the contest than lose it. But he was really good last year too, like I said, except for those last 5 games. But this year he's been super. Comfortably our best key defender this year by a long, long way. Long, long way. Oh, there you go, Luke Jackson. And like you could probably argue that he's the second ruckman more often than not when Sean Darcy's playing, but acknowledging there is large stints where Sean Darcy's missing due to injury and Luke Jackson is the number 1 ruck. Oh, Sims gets the free kick, shot for goal. This time last year, Paul says, Hayes Brown was 0 chance to play AFL. He's improved a lot this year. Hopefully he can do the same next year. He definitely has improved, Paul, 100%. I mean, last year, was it his first year last year or second year? But he was playing in the VFL for parts of last year and then, come back and got some game time. He's put on some good size. Can sometimes look a bit uncoordinated when kicking and things like that. But from a work rate and tackle perspective, Sims, you've got to kick those. Wow. Really hope our key forwards can start getting their shit together with their goal kicking. I know they're still young and there's a lot to play out, but missing goals like that, not great. Oh, that's an ugly kick. You want to see the power stance again? You reckon they try and break the hoodoo and whip out the power stance? Geez, that'd be something, wouldn't it? I did ask Rory Sloan about that. He had he was doing a talk at one of our work functions. Yeah, he wasn't thrilled. He wasn't thrilled. Bolter is good short-term forward. Yeah, exactly right, Michelle. Exactly right. If we can get 1.5 to 2 years out of Bolter playing second string forward with Lynch, I think it has a a good domino effect. Like, it makes us ultra competitive up front. It gives a more aerial presence and threat that opposition defenders need to pay attention to. Like, you can't not man up Noah Bolter, right, as a key forward. And then thirdly, it allows, whether it's Armstrong, Fall, Sims, whoever it might be, and Sims drops a really easy mark he should have taken, it allows whoever of them is playing to get the third defender, which gives them the chance to develop and grow and maybe dominate at times themselves and get off the chain. So I know there's the temptation of wanting to play Fall and Sims and Armstrong. Oh, what a goal. Accidental, but what a goal. I know there's the temptation to want to play all three of those young forwards all of the time, but that's realistically not going to be an effective way to develop and grow them. It gets games into them, but we will be next to non-competitive up forward, which, if we want to take small steps next year and progress our development, our wins, our structure, and whatever, I think we still need those two experienced bodies up there to help cater for that. And there'll be times where both won't be playing, and maybe next year it's Lynch, Bolter, and Armstrong, but at various stages Lynch might have a rest or whatever, and then Fall and that come in to play alongside him. There'll be a way to do it. Yeah, Steely's in 64, Jack. Yep. Dylan, Luke Jackson's a lot more athletic than Nang. That's true. Jackson is... Yeah, Jackson's been used as an actual mid, hasn't he? That's a scary prospect. Jesus. Good little blind turn there at the midfield. Good centre. Go. Oh, Razzo went out in the goal square. Not the big man. Oh, he's pinged him. Oh, wow, that's harsh, but we'll take it. Darren. After the 2017 grand final, I had a work trip to Adelaide where they arranged the tour for us of Adelaide Oval. I put a Trent Cotchin card in Tex Walker's locker. Literally the best thing I've done in my life. That's very good, Darren. A++ for you. That's very good. To be a fly on the wall to see their reaction. I love it. Rational. Historically, Richmond has rarely dominated the ruckman. That's true, especially in the last 50 years. I would say... Would you say Brendan Gale was maybe the closest we had to a dominant ruckman? Brad Otten's maybe at times as well, but we probably had Otten's in the very raw and infant stage, so maybe didn't get to benefit as much as Geelong did. But Brendan Gale maybe was the most dominant one before that. It'd be a nice change though, wouldn't it? Hawk Tim, I'd like us to try 3 key defenders in the game. Well, I suppose the only reason why you don't try it is because it slows you down a little bit. Against the Crows, you have to, like you said. But yeah, I guess you don't want to be too tall. Because I think... Oh, go. You seen... Yeah, boy. Good goal. Good start to the quarter. Very good start to the quarter. Oh, I reckon they'll keep Steely. Samuel, I reckon he might. It'd be a harsh call to get rid of him. We want to see more, but it would be harsh. Yeah, Fev helping the girls. I know. I've seen a lot of people say that get Fev to do some goal kicking with the male footballers. Why wouldn't you ask the question? I think you'd have to at least throw it out there. It sounds like he's at the club a shitload. So why not? Because he's having a ripper game, isn't he? 4 goals, 14 disposals, 8 hit-outs, 3 clearances. He's working his ass off. That's all you can ask for. Like, all you want your players to do is have a crack, and Cozzy is most definitely doing that. Dylan, if the AFL do bring in last touch out of bounds, then I see the appeal of drafting someone like CDT. Rucks who can be generally effective outside of ruck contests become a point of difference. Yeah, that's a reasonable call. I mean, we're kind of already almost playing that last touch unofficially, aren't we, with the amount of deliberate out of bounds that get paid? It's kind of not far off it. But I guess it does, to your point, does change That's got to be deliberate. That can't not be deliberate. Yeah, it's deliberate enough. He clearly smashed it over the boundary line. It was nothing but deliberate. Jesus. Jack, the uproar it would create if we played Jonty Fall as a defender would be enormous. Now, you got to keep him forward. We've just got to find a way to somehow get them all into the side. And I guess that was probably always going to be the slight problem with drafting 3 quality key forwards while needing other experienced forwards to still play. And like, we've talked about all this for the last 30 minutes, and none of us have mentioned McKelty Lafau yet. So he's still another one that will be pushing for an AFL spot playing as a key forward too. And Liam Fawcett, we haven't mentioned him yet either. He'll be another one who'll be vying for a spot. He just re-signed recently. So we're definitely flush for players in that department, aren't we? Andrew, who do we want in the draft? Annabelle, Ewell and Patterson Academy plays next year. So I'm thinking we go for Dersmer or Josh Lindsay. I'm in the Josh Lindsay camp, Andrew. But if I'm Richmond and West Coast, surely that we're both going to bid our asses off on these kids. Like Annabelle, Ewell and Patterson, like you just mentioned. They're all gun players. And if they don't match it, you're not going to be upset if you have to keep one of them, are you? And I know there's sometimes little under-the-table deals done. Oh, what a kick. Yeah, to the comment before about I wish our AFL team could kick like the VFL team, not a truer word spoken. But yeah, if I'm West Coast and Richmond, Andrew, surely we're all bidding our asses off to make teams have to pay for them, unless we've got some type of bullshit under the table agreement with Gold Coast, or we trade or we split picks with them, and they help us out and we scratch their back by not bidding. But it kind of gets to the stage where it's like, I don't want to keep giving, like Gold Coast are going to play finals this year. They're a really good side. They're going to keep improving, and they've got access to all these bloody academy players this year that's going to keep them up and about. I don't know if I want that. I want to make them pay. Make them pay. That's a great kick for goal. Who was that? Austin Johnson. What a kick. Cozzy gearing up for his grand final. Bring him in for Tom Stewart. Big Jezza on 90. Bad luck, Jezza. I like it, Darren. I like it. This has been a good quarter for us so far. We've reasserted ourselves. Bolter could develop into a Koutafidis type. Love to see him on the wing. He's fast and a booming kick. A lot of people have said that, Rational, about like wanting to see Bolter on a wing. Bit of Richo-esque type vibes. I wouldn't be against seeing what it looked like. Again, I still really maintain that Noah Bolter will play his best football instinctively like a headless chook, and that means running and following the ball wherever it goes, and not so structured and regimented as a defender. I know he does some good things as a defender, but now that we've got Miller and Young back there, I think we can try and be a bit more creative with Bolter's role to try and extract a bit more out of it. So I wouldn't be against it. Good kick. Come on, boys. If we get another one here, oh, that's a rubbish kick. But it's Grill. Was it green? I saw the 4 and got excited. Ah, damn. I thought we got rid of it. Do you think we split one of our picks? I reckon we will, Dyer. A lot of noise that we'll look to do that. What the big question mark is, I don't want to say why, but like, what's the long-term plan? Because if you're splitting a pick, it feels like the best team to split a pick for would be with Gold Coast, because it gets them ahead of some bids potentially, so they'll be keen to do that. But it's, are we going to use those picks to try and pick 3 draftees, or are we going to take our top pick and then trade the last 2 to try and get a player in? I suppose it gives you just a heap of different options of what we can do. But if it was me, I would definitely think we should try and split the second pick that we've got for sure. Go on, Hawk. What have you got? Brent, you want him on the wing or back? I mean, I don't think we've really seen Bolter play as a genuine wingman yet, have we? We all think he can do it. We've probably seen it in maybe like flashes with him just being around the ball, what it might look like and what it could do. But it wouldn't be the worst thing to try. Uze, if you're watching, give it a whirl next week. Start Bolter on the wing for us. That was a superb goal from Austin Johnson. That was a ripper kick. They're the goals that get the players up and about, I reckon. Because he hasn't got the ball. Sonzi was... So did he have 5 CBAs or he was 5th? And what was his total CBAs? Was there a bit of a mix today? I didn't actually look at the stats for that. Let's have a look. The website doesn't tell us, but the phone app does. Unless I'm just doing that wrong. Go Grill. Did anyone watch the Brisbane Lions Sydney game? Geez, the Swannies nearly coughed that up at the end, didn't they? Here we go. CBAs. Hopper, Taranto, Nankervis, all with 16 each. Prestia 13, Ross 6, Sonzi 5, Bolter 3, Houghton 1. Okay, so Sonzi had 5 CBAs and he had 1 centre clearance. So nothing for Rioli, nothing for Campbell. See, and that's where it's interesting because Campbell had a bit of a stinker today, I think we can all probably acknowledge. But if he's not having a good day at half forward, that's where I'd probably want to see him roll through the midfield to try and get some touches and some confidence. That's where I think we're maybe missing a trick with trying to bring our own players into the game more by shifting their positions ever so slightly. Cozzy, take another mark. Have a shot, Cozzy. Go for 5. So I just think that when players are not in the form we want them to be in, chuck them into the midfield, try and get some possessions. So I'll read out the CBAs again for today. So Hopper was 16, Taranto 16, Nank 16, Prestia 13. So that's like 95% plus. Then Jack Ross 6, Sonzi 5, Bolter 3 is a ruckman, and Houghton 1. Oh, Cozzy! Oh, Jesus, that was almost a great mark from Sims. Wow. So we probably didn't mix it up as much as we did last week. 1, 2, 3, 4. So we had 5 different midfield CBAs attendees. Yeah, it's not a bad size number, Dylan, to be honest. But like at some point next year, the 16s for Taranto, Hopper, and Prestia, or Prestia on 13, but at some stage next year, those numbers need to look more like 8 for each of them, and the numbers need to increase for your Hottons, your Lawlers, and players like that. Like that's where we need to find. Oh, Sims looks hurt. Oh, the hand. Oh, God. That's a lot of weight going through his hand/elbow. I'll make an uneducated guess that he will not play anymore this season after seeing that. Unless it's a hyperextension, that's our best chance, but that did not look nice. Hopefully it's not so bad. I don't reckon it was his shoulder. I reckon it's elbow and wrist. He knew he was not in a good way straight away, though. Yeah, I'm kind of with you, Goat. That's just the shit luck that we get, right? Goes back to the VFL to find form to help him out to get prep for finals. He's in a lot of pain. He does not look good at all. So the doctor's holding his wrist. Yeah, I reckon it's the elbow. Far out, though, honestly. Yeah, that's not good signs. Oh, Darren, tell me about it. Tell me about it. Blaming the fitness staff. Yeah. You're right, though. It'll happen. It'll happen. Appreciate you all jumping by to watch the VFL tonight. Make sure you smash the like button as well, folks, to help spread the algorithm of the live. We're on 22 likes with 82 viewers. Let's see if we can hit the 50 milestone for the likes. Definitely, yeah, it looked like that ADJ, didn't it? That's a lot of weight going through the elbow. That he looks in a world of hurt. Sucks for him. Hindsight. Well, I mean, I think no matter what it is, he'll be right for pre-season, but it looks very doubtful he'll play much more this year based on the pain he was showing he was in. Yeah, widescreen grills look good. He's on about 12 disposals. He had a quiet first quarter. Had a really good second quarter, though. He looked good. Peter, you reckon that's a broken bone? Javier Rodriguez, Paul Sims is going to be... I know, it was going to be a good mark, too. He was starting to kind of work into the game a little bit as well. Yeah. It's just rotten luck, isn't it? No one's fault, just simple bad luck, but our injury list now seems like it's going to get a little bit longer. And unfortunately for us as a club and the VFL in particular, it's to a ruckman where we don't need injuries. We've already got Hayes, Brown, Sampson, Ryan, and Fawcett on the sidelines. So we're actually, we're in trouble in the ruck department. No, I appreciate it, Darren. So Grill's been playing, it kind of looks like he's been playing off half back a little bit. I don't know if he's had any CBAs, if anyone can confirm. But yeah, he's been doing okay. I know, Ians, it's been horrible luck with the young kids this year. It's been a bit of a mixed bag, hasn't it? Because on one hand, you got to sort of appreciate the fact that we've gotten Lynch and Prestia through bulk of a year that we haven't really been able to do previously. But then all the youngsters have been dropping like flies. It's not fair. Yeah, Caleb will be in a little bit of trouble, one would suspect. Yeah, I don't know. Like he'll often do things where you'll think, yeah, he's showing something here, but it just doesn't kind of happen consistently enough. I guess my thing is with Caleb Smith is I don't know, like, whose spot in our backline is he going to take? Like, he's not operating at a level where you'd say, shit, he's forcing someone out here. So that's probably more the position he plays. He's not really going to get a crack. Oh, Gibus. Oh, no. Who's 79? He was filthy, but I reckon he thought it was a free kick to the other team. Josh Pollux. I reckon he thought it was going the other way, not to Cozzy. That was very funny. Blight, not the player he was early in the season. See, Paul, I don't think Blight did a lot wrong to get dropped, to be honest. I thought he was playing quite well. But to your point, if he gets traded, it can't be any more than a token third rounder, which, as we get another goal there, which is what we may be needing to get someone like Louis Callaway. So that would be the off trade, I guess. But I truthfully don't think he's done much wrong. 70, yeah, I know. It's quite remarkable, isn't it, Goat? In some ways, I mean, not that you want injuries on anybody, but in some ways, those impacts, if it's like a break, for example, there's sometimes better to have than soft tissue from a longevity perspective, if that makes sense at all. Well, that's true, Michelle. We definitely do have a wide spread of games into the youngsters now, don't we? See, Pollux, he was fuming. Fuming. I agree, lads. It does seem, for all intents and purposes, that Blight is gone. Yeah, it's an interesting one, Darren, on Josh Gibcus. Oh, Cozzy. No. We obviously saw what he was capable of early days in his career. If he can get his confidence back, I still don't know personally where he fits back into our backline at this stage, especially while we've still got Broad, we've still got Vlosten for another year. Miller and Young look very set as the key defensive posts. Banks and Short are obviously your running half back, and Brown is kind of in that same type of role. I just don't know where Gibcus fits back in. I think he'll be an important part to the team. I'm just not sure where. Where does everyone else think Gibcus will play? Yeah, they are really supporting that elbow. That's not nice. Hawk Tim's been injured since the 20th of May. Yeah, that's not nice. What injury did you pick up? Oh, that's an ugly kick. We'll do a poll on Josh Gibcus. As Razzo picks up a free kick. So I'll chuck a poll in chat on Josh Gibcus. When he returns to AFL football, do you see him playing forward or back? Just with the makeup of our current backline. Yeah, swingman, he could be. He could be. I've always thought he's got potential as a forward too. And ADJ, like, I understand the point. I just can't see how Young gets dislodged. I think he's comfortably our second best defender at the moment, like in the key defensive spot. Even if you look at both VFL form for Gibcus and Young, Gibcus has got nowhere near VFL form that Tyler Young had. I think Young's got him covered in that sense. I just don't know how he gets dislodged. Like at the moment, you would have to say we look a better side with Tyler Young in, and it would be a massive call to replace him with anybody. It's a good problem to have, but it's a problem nonetheless. And maybe that's how Bolter ends up on the wing. Maybe Bolter goes to the wing, Gibcus goes forward, and Tyler Young and Miller stay back. That's a lot of big dudes on the ground, though, isn't it? Yeah, I know, Darren. Gibcus was looking good early. The big thing for Gibcus, I think, is going to be all mental. There's just always going to be, maybe in the short term, just that nagging, like, what if? But once he gets over the mental hurdle of everything he's gone through with the injuries, I think he'll be right. Hawk hurt your shoulder, dislocated it. Have a tear. Oh, Jesus. Are you booked in for surgery, Hawk Team? What's the go? That sounds nasty. Tiger Mars prefers Gibcus in the forward line than Bolter. Dylan, don't think this performance should be overstated from the VFL team. Carroll, Hasty, Dow, O'Connell, Travalia, all decent. Yeah, no, they're doing well. They're doing well, the VFL boys. Yeah, Gibcus is doing all right, Ken, but I know what you mean. Like, he's not shooting lights out like what Tyler Young was, is he? I definitely get what you mean. Yeah, Bow could be in trouble. Dyer, Felina Smith. Okay, yeah, those names probably make a lot of sense at the moment, don't they? Presti one more year, yeah. Gibcus on the wing, Ballarat Tiger. Interesting. Battle of the wings between Bolter and Gibcus. We've got the biggest wingman in history out there. I agree, Paulie, and that's why I think that Gibcus will get an AFL game at the end. I just think for his mental confidence, it'll do the world of wonders. How did you do that in go-karting? You must have had a pretty big stack. It must be in a bit of pain day to day, I imagine. 30. Why are quarters? I suppose Sims was down, but like, why are quarters going for 32 minutes? Go. But we've got another goal from it. Love the long quarter. We have torched them this quarter. Absolutely smashed them. Ralph Smith. So that's another one, Ian. That's a really good name. I think I mentioned him in my video tomorrow about contracts. Where do we see Ralph Smith fitting back into the mix? He's obviously out for the rest of the year with the hamstring. Does he... I mean, I'm guessing he's fighting for a wing spot as well with Trezise and I don't know who else takes the other wing spot. Maybe it's Trezise and Hugo on opposite wings. Maybe that's what we roll with next year. Yeah, we do have some quick players, Ken, in the VFL. You're right. Yassine's got some serious wheels, doesn't he? As does Razzo. Darren, Gibus will play the Broad Vlosten role. No, I think he will too, but it then still has the question mark on where's he going to play while Broad and Vlosten are still playing, because we know next year's Broad's last year. So obviously from 27 onwards, there's a bit more of a permanent role for him, I guess, but it doesn't really help him for next year though, doesn't it? Nuclear not sold on Hugo. Paris. Yeah, he's looked good. It's actually quite interesting, Paris, in regards to Grill, because I was a bit critical of him in the champs. I think it was warranted though. He just wasn't setting the world on fire, and his handball to kick ratio was really poor. Like, he was handballing it almost exclusively, wasn't kicking it at all. That's got to be holding the ball. That's a great tackle. But here for the VFL, I think he's got a really good blend. He's fit in well, provides a good run and carry. He'll definitely be on the board as a name of interest. I'd love to see Josh Lindsay play for us. 34-minute quarter. Jesus Christ. Dominant quarter, though. What was it? 6 goals to nothing. We're at 42 likes, almost at that 50. Appreciate the love and support. Where are we stat-wise? I'll hit refresh just to make sure we're good to go. Widescreen. Gibus must be transitioned into defence next year, even if it's the phase brought out. Oh, I understand what you're saying. I don't know. I don't know how I feel about it. I understand, though. I understand. And I know we've sort of all talked about this a little bit, but despite being in the bottom 3, when we have a full list available, which will hopefully be at some point at round 1, there's some genuine selection headaches, isn't there? With the plays we've got coming through and things like that. It's an absolute nightmare. Now, if we had have taken bets at the start of the game for who might be the leading disposal getter for the club at 3/4 time, no one would have bet on Jacob Kazitsky, but he's leading the way with 20 touches, 4 marks, 13 hitouts, 6 clearances, and 4 goals won. That's a monster game from Cozzy. Elnor on 18 touches, Onston Johnson 17, Lockie Wilson 16, Lockie Street 15, Harry Scott 15, Garner 14. So Sam Grill's on 12. I didn't see much in the back half of that quarter, so maybe he's on managed minutes. Toner on 10 with 1 goal. Razzo, 9 disposals, 3 goals. That's pretty effective. Jacob Blight, 9 disposals, 4 marks. Caleb Smith, 7 touches. Steely Green, 7 touches. Sims, 6 touches. And obviously he's out for what feels like will be a while. Gibus, 6 touches, 1 mark, 1 tackle. Suns almost 50 up on the Blues. Thank you, Tiger Mars. That's what we like to hear. That's what we like to hear. Die Legacy. So before we sort of talk more about player positions and stuff, does anyone have any thoughts about or any knowledge about, are they going to scrap the sub rule next year? Are we going to just be 5 on the interchange? Do we know anything about that yet? Because that might change a few things. Might as well put Dean Putt and Troy Taylor. That's a throwback, Die Legacy. Dean Polo coming back. And Tubby, I mean, you make a good point. Campbell Gray waiting in the wings as well. There's a lot of players. Paul Lee likes Ralphie off half back. Him and Banks with pace coming out of defence. I get that. Definitely can get that and appreciate that, Paul. Widescreen, this is where it's interesting with Josh Lindsay. And this is where I suppose the debate and the discussion happens, that Lindsay potentially may always be a half back. So then the question becomes, are you prepared as a club to use such a high pick on a half back? But he is the best kick of the football in the draft. So I'm like, on one hand, I value that really highly, being a great kick of the ball, but you would like to see that transition to the midfield. I guess you just don't know what's going to happen in the future. And we're going to be stacked in the midfield anyway, so there might not even be a role there, but we've got to be mindful that Shorty's going to finish up soon. So I still wouldn't be against picking up Lindsay, even with a high pick, to play halfback and utilise his weapon of a boot off the halfback line. Because, like all teams, a lot of attack is set up from that halfback area on counter-attacks, and he's a pretty surgical, like laser kick, which can help set up counter-attacks and change angles and do things like that. So I actually think it's quite a valuable asset. Darren, we will never phase out Broad, retire with gas left in the tank. But he's still going good guns, isn't he, Broady? Batchelor's doing well. Batchelor's had a ripper year. I think Uze's warming into it. There's a couple of things that we obviously have some question marks on with the non-sub and things like that. But Batchelor, yeah, doing really well. Really well. Michelle Cozzy, a good sport. 100%. Michelle Cozzy, to me, is your ultimate clubman, isn't he? Does anything and everything for the club. He's helping the youngsters, doing a thankless role. I have a lot of respect and time for Cozzy. He seems like just a ripper bloke. Darren, Steve Popping will happen if it suits Geelong. Good answer. Dylan, according to Greg Swan, all 18 clubs want to get rid of the sub. The only reason why we don't remove the sub is if the AFL has some bullshit bureaucracy reason. Yeah, well, that pretty much sums it up, Dill. I wouldn't mind. I think I'd like it just to be the 5 interchange. I think that would be... It gives more players a better chance, doesn't it? What's wrong with that? What's wrong with that? 49 likes. Let's hit that 50. I've just got to go to the bathroom. When I come back, let's see it at 60 likes. I'll be back in a sec. Muted myself. Have they given any update on Sims? Have they just said wrist arm injury? Dave, how are you, mate? You happy with the... Yeah. Wasn't happy with the losing part of it, but it was a much better effort than the previous time we played him, that's for sure. Fair call, Ken. We got Hooley to play halfback specifically. I think that's a good call. Well, there you go. So everyone wants Gibus back. Oh, we've jumped up to 6th. Interesting. Let us know in chat if the audio is coming through okay. I've had like a little message pop up about the audio bit rate, but I'm not sure what that's doing in terms of how it comes through. Nor do I know how to fix it. Yeah, Tubby Sims not looking good. Port somehow leading Freo. Is that right? Freo by 2 points at half time. Oh, almost got the tackle in. Audio fine. Thank you, Scruff. Appreciate it. Will we see a bit more of Sam Grill this last quarter? It's been a comprehensive third quarter, and hopefully we can finish it off. Oh, get rid of it. Go for it, Hawk Tim. Appreciate it, Michelle. Do we? I think I know the answer to the question. But if Josh Smiley became fit enough and recovered fine from the quad in time for VFL finals, would you play him, or would you wrap him up and cotton wool him for next year? Darren Lindsay not being able to play mid as a teenager doesn't matter. Oliver got overlooked because he was poorly and had no tank. If he can play, get him in. I tend to agree, Darren. I tend to agree. And again, like I said before, I actually, at this point in time, I wouldn't even care if he was a halfback for most of his career because it feels like a really good Jaden Short replacement. And like you said, I think players just kind of naturally evolve over time as well. So we might see that eventuate anyway. We all talk about skill. So if the kid's the best kick in the draft, take him. It just, on the surface, it just seems that simple, doesn't it? But there's obviously some complex layers to it, I guess. Oh, Tim. Question in the future, who will be the full forward? Will it be Jonty or Harry? I mean, I guess it depends on what your definition is, but if we're talking about a front 6, Harry Armstrong and Jonty Ford will unquestionably both be in the forward line. Let's say we're talking about 3 to 4 years away. So Tom Lynch is finished and whatever. The forward line will consist of Jonty Ford and Harry Armstrong, and they will be the two big key men. And then I suppose the question mark becomes, what do we do with Sims? That's a big kick. Does Sims play as the third? Do we play with 3 tall forwards and Sims also ruck reliefs as well? Like, how does that fit in? But I think at an absolute bare minimum, Armstrong and Fall, you can almost categorically say will be our full forward / centre half forwards for the next decade and beyond. It just depends on which one plays deep, which one plays higher. But it's an exciting prospect and thing to think about because they're both super aggressive players. And once they fill out and work it all out, and you've got a left and a right footer, can kick some good distance, I think it's going to be fun to watch. Yeah, 54 for Sam Grill. Yeah, exactly right. It's losing Sims does put a lot more pressure onto Cozzy and whoever else rucks. In some ways, it's probably handy or good that we built up such a lead to kind of cater for it. Oh, Cozzy got a bit manhandled there. Wrap Smiley up. Yeah, I'm not against wrapping Smiley up and unleashing him next year. Oh, falconed. Cop that in the face. Oh, Jesus. Not something out of nothing. Yeah, I suppose Armstrong and Ford could definitely be the new Lynch and Rewalt. Hopefully they get to those heights. That would be nice, wouldn't it? Yeah, you want the twos to wear the proper Guernsey. I don't mind the one they've got on, but no, I wouldn't be against seeing them in the normal traditional one as well. Maybe this was the least clashy of all the Guernseys we had, potentially. Oxy, I like to think of Jonty and H as our twin towers, considering they're both 195. Yeah, I think it's a fair call. I mean, there's no question, Oxy, that they are our two big future forwards. Um, yeah, they're going to be super fun and impressive to watch. Dodson's killing it. I can see why Ruck wanted him. Let me find some stats. Because I've only got Alex Dodson. What have we got? 30 disposal. Jesus. 30 disposal, 3 marks, 2 tackles, 39 hitouts, and 6 clearances. How old's he? How tall is he? Could he be someone we poach? Can we get him across? That's huge. As the AFL policies come out, offers aspects of the game, skill become more important. Yeah, exactly. And I think that sort of ties in with a lot of the players we've already drafted and hopefully what we continue to draft. Smiley loves the Mexican place. Does he? Loves the Mexican place. Nothing wrong with a bit of Mexican. 5 times before games this year. Dylan Keeler, a very interesting player for Sandy. St Kilda personally wanted us to trade for him last trade period. Looks a good 4 ruck prospect. He's only 18 and he's 205 centimetres. Okay, well, I mean, I guess that suggests that... Are they... yeah, Sandringham, they're still aligned to St Kilda, aren't they? I'm guessing they won't let him go. They won't let him go anytime soon. That was Grill there with a little overhead handball. Shut him down. Oh, that's an ugly kick. Could work for him. Oh, what a bounce. Jesus. Blight's doing okay, Jason. Probably, it definitely hasn't been his best game. He's had 12 disposals, 4 marks, 2 tackles. Yeah, he's spoiled well and done some okay things, but definitely not as standout like as what some of his other games have been, that's for sure. Oh, okay, so we took Sims ahead of the Saints taking Dodson. Right. Interesting. Okay, so St Kilda are bailing, so they'll have their own standalone. I guess at some point in the next couple of years, we are going to have a look at some backup ruckman, like backup ruckman from other teams that we can then get in as the first ruck. I know a lot of people have mentioned Ned Reeves. There's someone else from Gold. Is it Moyle? Ned Moyle, is he from Gold Coast? So there'll be a couple that will be on radars, but yeah, I think that'll be the next trade or free agency target when the timing's right. Yeah, that was good from Blight. How do we all think we're going to go next week against the Kangas? No more Nick Larkey. They'll have Tristan Jerry back, which he's a wonderful ruckman, very, very good to watch, and a big combatant against Nank. They get Paul Curtis back. It's almost a shame they haven't lost players for a little bit longer. But the Larkey out's huge in terms of their ability to score goals. It should definitely be a game that we're setting ourselves for to try and win, much like the St Kilda one was. Would love to be able to pinch the win. They'll be trying to do the same though. And down in Tassie, it could be, I don't know whether it's meant to be raining, cold. I'm sure it's going to be cold, but it'll be interesting to see how we handle the conditions. Yeah, Dave, I agree. I think a third rounder feels about right in terms of block. I don't think you could ask for much more than that, to be honest, could you? What are the AFL scores? Gold Coast 84, Carlton 39. And yeah, Port Adelaide winning 53-51. I think it's very interesting with Carlton sticking with Michael Voss. Oh, Grill kicking out. Go for a run. And this is why I think that Ken Hinkley will end up at Carlton. I reckon that they've kept Voss, but they're going to support him with a bit more experience. And there's still a lot of murmurs about players wanting to leave. Like, can you imagine if they lose a couple, like a Kerno or a Mackay? I know people have said a Cripps, but I can't see that happening. But yeah, hopefully they turn into a bit more of a rabble next year too. Blues, are they playing like really shit though? That's probably more important. Jason, you reckon the Kangas are checked out? Well, I hope so. I honestly do. Just, if nothing else, just to cap off the trade of the pick, it would just be a nice little full stop on the end of it. Yeah, I wouldn't mind Ken as well as a director of coaching hoops. I reckon that wouldn't be a bad shout. My only issue when doing those like director of coaching type roles with very fresh out of the game coaches is there's always that nagging thought or nagging narrative that they're just waiting to knife the current coach, and it just creates a lot of negative criticisms and conversation when you start losing games that you probably don't need. But on the surface, I think he would be a good acquisition. Who got sacked? Who goes to Melbourne? Do we reckon Buckley's leading the race for Melbourne, the Melbourne job? Sean Grigg, yeah, there could be some people asking some questions about Griggy. Sounds like that Buckley might be in the hunt for the D's job. I'm guessing John Longmire will get a phone call as well. Maybe Ken Hinkley gets a phone call. It will be fascinating to see if they go for young or old, whether they go full rebuild, or try and stick with an older one. Tubby, you're convinced as well that the Kangas are checked out? I bloody hope so. I just don't want them to get up for this one last game like it's their grand final. I'd love for them to shit the bed against us. Oh, should have had a clean pick up there. Oh, he got thrown to the ground. Give him the ball. Sam Toner. Out from down my way. North, there's no Larky in there. There's shit without him. The Kangas were checked out by Good Friday. I'm not sure how many of you were watching the live show on draft night, but what a night that was. As Toner kicks the goal. And I remember we got criticised for having a laugh at North Melbourne's expense. People were jumping to North's defence saying it was a great trade and it won't backfire. And it has epically backfired. It's been so good. Yeah, there's a few of them there, isn't there, Paul? I do see Alex Rance in a lot of their like social videos playing like games and doing random drills and exercises with the players. As Buckley passed it off with Eddie. Probably not. Probably not. Oh, really, Melanie? Longmire's not interested in coaching? That's interesting. Adam Simpson might be another one too. Maybe less likely than some of the other names. On those two, let's say Ken Hinkley's off the table as a director of coaching, whatever we want to call it, I would still seriously ask the question of Adam Simpson and or John Longmire to do that type of role as well. Like, I know Simpson had a bit of a stint, obviously, as coach of West Coast, but maybe he might be better suited to that assistant role that's more of a backseat, less stressful. Because I really love listening to his analysis and the way he views the game and breaks it down. I think it could be one to ask the question about. Dylan, will be interesting to watch North tomorrow in regards to their forward line. I can see North winning the midfield battle against us, but we can get on them on the counterpunch. And that's the thing, like our defense is working so well that we typically match up okay on most forward lines. It just comes down to how hard does our midfield work to not give them easy inside 50 entries is pretty much what it all comes down to. That's shit defending. Jeez, we've really switched off here. Tasmania for John Longmire. Yeah, that's a good shout. Widescreen. Crunchy potatoes. Lose to Kangas makes last year's trade even better. Pushes back our second round pick. Wait, do you mean if we beat them or if they beat us? Melbourne trying to re-sign. Are they Paul Roos? Goodwin assistant under Uze will be funny. And people will clubs will ask the question of Goodwin as well, for sure. I'm not sure in a senior coaching capacity or if in a assistant, but yeah, it just depends on if they've got the desire to keep coaching or being a head coach, I suppose. I don't know if we've got a specific director of coaching, if that's a role title that we have. I was always under the assumption that it was kind of what Ben Rutten was doing, but I think he's doing some line coaching now as well. And I don't think it's really Tim Livingston either. So I'm not sure we've actually got that role filled for someone at the moment. Yeah, it's more, I think the director of coaching nuclear is more for clubs who have got younger coaches just to help oversee things and make sure that that it's all running smoothly and helping with any ideas and pitching in and just being a bit of a sounding board, I guess, and a mentor for the young coach. Because at the moment, realistically, Uze is kind of surrounded by a lot of young assistants. Zeeble, I mean, Chris Newman's been around for a while, but I don't know, is he considered young in coaching terms? I'm not sure. Obviously, Rutten's been around for a while. And I suppose Carousella could be that guy, that soundboard guy. So maybe we're okay then. But you can never have enough experience, I suppose, in the coach's box. But you don't want it to get too clunky and complicated, I suppose. It only works if those in that environment like clearly know their own role and aren't overstepping the mark. Yeah, it does seem a bit messy this quarter, doesn't it? Yeah, widescreen. I probably haven't seen enough of Will Dersma yet. I do want to try and get across some more of his footage, but from what I've seen, he looks okay. I don't like that people discount him because of his surname. I think that's a little bit silly. But he seems to move okay. He's not a bad, what is he, like 195 centimetres now? It still feels like they're a little bit unsure what position to play him in at the moment, even at coach level. He's done some wing work, some half-back work. Seems to use the ball okay most of the time. He has had a couple of stinkers along the journey, but I suppose most of these kids have. I think we've got a pretty solid recruiting staff now that we just got to back them in to identify the right talent and make the right calls. Go on, Hawk. Get Choco. He's a loose unit, Choco. He's a very loose unit. Lovely bloke, though. There were Melbourne fans calling SEN complaining that Uze was there as a replacement and now he's gone. Is that right? There you go. Oh, well. They had their chance. Yeah, it's interesting, Dave, that Carousel has never, ever wanted to do the senior role, has he? He's always been pretty adamant. He's been happy being the assistant. Maybe he recognises what his strengths are and is just playing in his wheelhouse. Let's love the way. Oh yeah, he's good, isn't he, Ken Elnor? And that I'm not sure how far ahead of the broadcast you are to me, but that was another good mark from Elnor that I just saw. He just reads the flight so well, doesn't he? Reads it beautifully. So we've got Williamstown next week, 10v7. Yeah, okay, interesting. Because is next week's the last week of VFL, I'm pretty sure. And then wildcard. As I said, Brett Rutten was his mentor and was interested in him. Oh, okay. I reckon Brett Ratton's been one of the hardest done by coaches for a long time. Yeah. With his stint at Carlton and St Kilda, I don't reckon he did much wrong, but it's a vicious job. What website do I use for the team lineups? I just use the AFL website. Oh wait, yeah, I just use the AFL website to get the team lineups. Or if the Richmond send an email about the app or about what the changes are and they have the lineup in there, I'll look at that. And I reckon the magnets on our board, I reckon they would be black backed magnets with yellow writing for the names, would be my guess. That's what I reckon that we would use. Yeah, the Zebras have set up really well. We've either switched off or Sandringham have actually decided to show up and try and play this last quarter. But I'm glad we had the lead that we did, because I feel like we would have been mowed down by now if we didn't. It's just not happening for us. Oh, Scully and Trengove. How unlucky was that for him, Paul? Yeah, Tubby, maybe. About asking Goodwin. I mean, he'd have a pre-existing working relationship with Uze. I suppose the first question you would have to find out is Goodwin happy to be that step back from a senior coach? Has he got any other senior coaching aspirations, or is he past that phase of his life and he's happy just to be a guide and an assistant? If the answer is yes, then I think you definitely see what that looks like. And yeah, if Ratton was on the table and Uze was, again though, like Uze would know the type of people he wants in to surround himself with. I'm sure he'll make whatever the right calls are. Yeah, Rats was treated like shit at St Kilda. I agree, Justin. Oh, sorry, Hawk Tim. That's just made on Canva. So my wife's very good on Canva with making up like backgrounds, even like the background on the stream here. She made that for me. So I just got her to make a template for a starting lineup, and then I just changed the names and changed the color of the names for the if they're green for an inclusion or up the top in red if they're an out. So I just edit the words. So it's just on Canva. 100% Melanie. Sims going off has hurt heaps structurally. And it's going to actually really impact our VFL final series, because we were kind of relying on him to be the ruckman, because Hayes Brown and Samson Ryan and whatnot are still a few weeks away. So that hasn't helped at all. And we obviously hope Sims is okay. Big breeze at the beach ends. Yeah, true. Longmire would be a great get. Yeah, the Tassie gig will be interesting. Have we got any more information on that? Is that going ahead yet? Or is the government still dicking everyone around? Justin Sims went for a biggish mark and landed really, really awkwardly and uncomfortably on his wrist/elbow in a tremendous amount of pain. It looks like it's a bad elbow injury. I'm not sure whether it's a break, a dislocation, a hyperextension, whatever it might be, but they were definitely offering a lot of support to his elbow area, and he was in a severe amount of pain and discomfort, unfortunately. I'll be shocked if he takes part in any football again this year, to be honest. Yeah, Dylan, that's not a bad shout. That maybe Gibus isn't as exposed to being a key back as the other two. I think that's not a bad observation. Lepic back with Carousella would be the dream assistants, Dave. Why do they still mark out the 10-metre goal square? You can wherever you like. Oh, it's just aesthetically pleasing having the square on the ground. I'll see if we can do a video on it. Well, yeah, I don't know how. I'm not sure how long it took her to make the template for it, but I'll see what I can do. See what I can do. Would you throw AFL players that are available to play into VFL finals or not risk them? That's a really good one, Tubby. So, like we mentioned before, I'll bring up the list again. So, at a minimum, in the next 3 weeks, McKelty Lafau's going to come back, Liam Fawcett will come back, Hayes Brown will come back, Kane McAuliffe will come back, Campbell Gray will come back. McAuliffe and Gray are probably still question marks. Samson Ryan's probably a question mark too. So they will all be in consideration for VFL. And then Jasper Alga will come back as well. He'll be able to play. And I mean, I don't know how the qualifications work. I'm sure there's an X amount of AFL games you play that you're ineligible. I'd be relatively confident of that being a thing. But without knowing what that number is, players like Tyler Young could be a consideration. James Trezise would be another one that could go back and play VFL, I reckon. Morris Rioli and Tash Houghton might have played enough to go back and play VFL as well. Harry Armstrong, maybe not. I'm not sure what the status is there. Tyler Sonzi and Noel Bolter might have also played enough. If anyone can find out what the qualification mathematic equations are, because I'm sure there'll be a part of it that's VFL related and a part that's AFL game related as well. There'll be a cutoff of some type. So it will be interesting to see what names from our senior list today could go back and play VFL finals. Because depending on what that looks like, we could have a very, very strong side. So 6 VFL games is the qualification. Okay. So Taj won't have qualified. That's interesting. So Bolter might have qualified. G'day, Davo. Are we on the Massimo? I like him. I just don't see a spot for him on our list, is that my only thing. I just think we've got too many of the same player type, and I don't know if he would be playing AFL minutes. I think we would, if we picked him up, he'd still be playing VFL, and I think that's a waste. Widescreen, do you see Lawler as a midfielder or a forward mid? I think the dream will be a mid/forward. In my mind, I'm thinking like a 70-30 split. It's from Sam Lonigan's article/video. I reckon it seems like it's more of a 60-40 split. I think it feels like the club really value how dangerous he is up forward and the weapons he has. I think as supporters, we see his value as a midfielder because that's just what we want to see. I reckon the club feel like he'll do a lot more damage as a half forward, sort of like what Dusty was doing, but Dusty probably did a lot more damage in the midfield. So I would like to see 70-30, but I reckon the club sees 60-40. What does everyone else see for Lawler? And then Smiley is the other one. I know we won't know this year, but there's still, for me, question marks on what secondary position he'll play whilst he's developing in the seniors next year. Does he play as a forward? Does he play as a halfback? Or as a big wingman like Dan Curtin does? I don't know. I've got no idea. I'm with you, Justin. I would be all over Josh Lindsay personally. Nuclear Days. In 2025 VFL season, players are generally eligible for finals if they have played 6 VFL games during the season and no more than 12 AFL games. Additionally, AFL listed players can play in there. What's the next part? Does that give us a different chunk as well? Yeah, it does seem like we're getting that Rosa, doesn't it? Oh, grill. Lovely. Seems like we've sprung back to life here late in the game. AFL listed players can play in the VFL finals if their senior team is still active and playing that weekend, or if they did not play in the previous AFL game. However, some leagues may have their own rules. 41-point winners for the VFL. 7th on the ladder. That's a good result. That pretty much locks us in. So I'm trying to just decipher this from Nuclear Days. So players are eligible for finals if they've played 6 VFL games during the season and no more than 12 AFL games. Additionally, AFL-listed players can play in the VFL finals if their senior team is still active, which we won't be, and playing that weekend, or if they did not play in the previous AFL game. Okay. So we need to then work out, well, Taj Houghton didn't play 6 VFL games, so that means he's ineligible. So that's a bit annoying. I would say Noah Bolter would be eligible based on that. Sonzi would be close. Morris Rioli, I reckon, would be eligible. Tyler Young, I reckon, would be eligible. And I reckon Trezise would be eligible as well. So that would be a pretty handy injection of talent back into the VFL side if all of those players are eligible. Taj Houghton would be a good one too if he was eligible. And then Jasper Olga as well, like we said earlier. Jonty Foley's out. He won't be there at all. I was pretty sure we were getting that. Yeah, the Gold Coast small forward, yep. Reports about Rosa trade talks all over Richmond. Yeah, there hasn't really been anyone else listed, has there, Justin? So it feels like we are the front runners. Yeah, Dave, I would take it that way too. Under those rules, Gibus can't play finals. But then he hasn't played in the previous AFL game. So does that then allow him to do it? Or do you still need to have played 6 VFL games? Yeah, it's interesting. But, I mean, either way, there still should be a few players getting back and playing some big minutes for the VFL, which would be nice. All right, so we'll go through the final stats. Oh, hang on, they're talking about the finals. No, they haven't spoken about what I wanted. So Cozzy was leading disposal winner, 27 touches for us. What a gun. 5 marks, 26 hitouts, 8 clearances, 4 goals. Lockie Street, 25. Al Noor, 23 with 8 marks. Garner, 22. Wilson, 21. Harry Scott, 21. Blight ended up on 16 with 4 tackles, 1 clearance. Sam Grill, 15 touches, 2 tackles. Sam Toner, 14 disposals, 2 goals. Steely Green, 12 touches, 4 marks, 5 tackles. Gibcus ended up on 12 disposals, 1 mark, 2 tackles. So, what else we got? Who do I think has been most improved this year? Most improved. Seth Campbell would have to be up there for most improved. Ben Miller would be up there. Well, I still think Ben Miller was good last year too. Probably Seth Campbell. I just didn't see Seth Campbell. I know he had a bit of a stinker today and last week wasn't great either. But I think overall his season, I didn't really see him taking the step that he took. Banks, that's a good shout. Banks, not bad. I think he's been good too. Oh, so if you miss more than 10 games, you might be eligible. Yeah, okay, interesting, Heels and Tubby. I think we've got one more VFL game. I think, Paul. Someone correct me if I'm wrong. DRV with the draft picks, I reckon we'll split one of them. I think we'll trade one of them to the Gold Coast and get 2 of their first round picks in so they get ahead of some bids and we get an extra bit of currency. And I reckon we'll keep the other one. But then what we do with all 3 of those picks, I've got no idea. I'd still be looking to take Josh Lindsay with 1 and maybe we trade the other 2 for an established player or 2. I don't know. But I reckon we'll split one of the picks at a minimum. Yeah, Cozzy's been good. Carlton running down the 45-point deficit. Okay, Suns are leading by 17. Wow. Port now leading Freo by 15. What is happening? Yeah, Hayes Brown's improved heaps. I've been really impressed with Hayes Brown. And like I said before, I really thought he would get an AFL game by end of the year if he wasn't hurt, which is a bit of a shame. Yeah, Banks has closed the gap. I think Banks has definitely become very much improved and just found his role at half back. I think he slotted in there quite nicely and is doing some pretty good things, which was good. Blight's unlucky this year. Yeah, we've got quite a few key backs, don't we? I think we've got 7 or 8. Trade period will be interesting, Nuclear. It will be very interesting. I do love a hypothetical chat about what it could all look like. Yeah, we've got to start doing some draft content soon as well. I've got to get stuck into a bit of that. DRV, I suppose you can't count anything out. I would say it does now feel like the Harley Reid one, I would say, is not going to happen simply because of the money that they're being asking of from his management. It now, for him, feels like it's either West Coast paying through the nose for a new contract, or he'll just stay this year and go next year to a Hawthorn, Geelong, or whatever it might be. I just don't feel like we're going to be prepared to pay that type of coin. So I would say that we're out of that race. And for Butters, I had personally written that off only because I didn't think Butters would pick us as a club to go to. And I still probably do feel that way a little bit. But what I hadn't considered was that if St Kilda are trying to get, if Port Adelaide are trying to get Nasiah Wanganeen-Malira, they have no currency. They have no first round pick and they can't trade their future one either, I don't believe. So a lot of their supporters are saying that we could help broker that deal by using our picks and get Butters in that exchange. They get Wanganeen-Malira, St Kilda get a raft of picks. And I had never considered it until last night when Jake was talking to me about it from Saints TV. So that is a really interesting prospect. And I would, if Butters is open to coming to us, I would absolutely be all in for that. If we can split one of our picks and still take a quality kid early and get rid of another 2 in the top 12 for Butters, I'd do that in a heartbeat. He would help fast track us immensely. But again, it's about, does Butters think we're a club that he wants to go to? Does he want to leave first and foremost? And yeah, how does that all look? But yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if we're keeping one eye on the situation, and I'm guessing we'll ask the question of some kind. Dylan, I have reached out to Dylan Alexander. We will be trying to work out doing some type of a draft video in the future. It's just he got busy, I got busy. It was going to be earlier, but it probably does feel like it'll work better now later. But yeah, Dylan and I have definitely chatted about doing something for sure. Yep. Rational, great call on Juddy Clark. And I know it's all hindsight, but I think a lot of us feel the same way, but I really do think that he should have been playing AFL that day that he hurt himself. He had a great body of work, and I think this is why the club's persisting, because I really do think that he can still make it at the elite level. He's very, very young, and it sounds like the ACL surgery he had is a little bit different to your traditional surgeries. Not Lars different, but different because of the fact he's already had 2, and you got to sometimes find new ways to do it because you don't want to take from the same area. I'm backing Juddy in. I'm Team Juddy. I'm very, very keen to see him come back for sure. We keep trying to do the live. Yeah, Michelle, for sure. Whenever timing works for the VFL lives, I'll always try and do it because it's always good to chat footy. I know we obviously talk a lot rather than watching the game sometimes, but it's good to talk footy with everyone and see the young kids play. And we'll definitely keep tracking them through finals as well. Absolutely. Absolutely. If Reid and Eagles sign the contract, wouldn't you just wait until the player option? Yeah, exactly. Well, depends on what Reid wants. I mean, if the Eagles don't want to pay big money, they'll just see what this contract does, and Reid might go somewhere for less currency than what they would get this year. But I just don't think that any other club outside of West Coast are prepared to pay the amount of coin that they want for Harley. Though they're asking a ridiculous amount. I know we've got to pay the money to someone, but geez, you got to draw a line somewhere. Would Sam Walsh be worth looking at? I don't know. My initial thought when reading Sam Walsh's name is I kind of, and this might be wrong, I kind of felt like he was very similar to Taranto and Hopper. Like I haven't probably watched him closely enough. Are his skills any better than those two? I'm not so, I don't really know. I'm not too sure. He's obviously got his own injury history as well. Yeah, I don't know. Does he want out? Is he leaving? Is he, Sam Walsh? Actually, just quickly as well. Oh, how good am I? Just take a moment to have a look at my Michael's tip underneath my camera here. Sam Grill, 15 disposals. What did he get? 15 disposals. Let me refresh to make sure that I got that right, though. 15 disposals for Sam Grill. I've absolutely nailed the prediction 100% on the head. Well done, me. Well done, me. It's always nice when predictions like that come off. If Eagles lose, Reed will be a disaster. Yeah, it definitely would be. And like the Saints reckon that they can fit you to Koning and Messiah on big money and whatnot. There seems to be a whole raft of players that the Saints are keen on, so they could have some big list changes. The new salary for Lynch, from what I've been told, Lynch and Prestia are going back to pretty much base salary, so not what they were on in their peak. This year was the last year of Lynch's big money, and I believe it's now back to a base level, and it's pretty much them helping us out a bit and doing all, some coaching and mentoring and helping us through this next period to hand over the baton. I agree, Dave. I would have no issue in giving Messiah some big coin to come across, but we obviously know that won't happen. He won't be coming to us, unfortunately. Walsh will be playing on the wing. Prediction for our next premiership, Heels? We're better off going to the draft. Get Grill, Lindsay and Kellaway. Hopefully pick up guy from the Suns. Possibly, Paris. Possibly. I think there's a lot of ways it can work. I still do think we do need to fill some gaps on the age side between that 23 and 26, 27 year profile with some quality players. It's a trick. There's so many ways it can work. I can really understand both sides of the coin. Next premiership, Heels. I don't know. What are we now? 25. So I think next year I reckon will still be about the 16th to 14th and 13th area. I know we all may not like that, but it does take time for these kids to get up to speed. 2027, we could be in that 9th to 10th area. I reckon like 28, 29, we should be pushing for finals. And maybe it's like 29, 30 where we are like having a real crack. Because by then, these kids who are playing now will be at like your 100, 150 odd games. Some even pushing towards 170. Maybe it's a little bit early. It just depends. The unknown is the impact of losing Vlosten, Broad, Lynch, Prestia within like a 2 or 3 year window, what that does to us. Maybe there's a half a step back that we have to take when that happens before we go forward again. But hopefully by that time, some other players that we've either got in by trade or draft have developed and can take over. But that's still a little bit of an unknown for me. But you would hope I think to be playing at least finals, I'd be hoping for 2028. 27 would be nice, but it might be a stretch. But 28, definitely, I think you'd love to be pushing for finals. Dave the Dasher had us at 8th in 2027 at the start of the year. Well, I mean, stranger things have happened. I guess it depends on who we bring in and how that goes to building the side back up. Definitely DRV, definitely. There's definitely been a lot of shit that's happened. I'm not at all suggesting we would have made finals this year, but you would like to think that if we had a better bit of luck with injury and obviously the Bolter shit not happening, maybe we would have converted the GWS, the North Melbourne, and today's game And then you're looking at 8 wins and sitting 12th, and that's a bit of a prettier picture, isn't it? But then you don't get the same draft picks, but you got winning mentality, so it would have definitely helped. Yeah, Myercheck's an interesting one. I would have been all for Brody Myercheck if we weren't keeping Lynch next year. But it sounds like we're going, well, we'll obviously sign Lynch, and there might be a longer term view for him as well. I really like Myercheck. I don't think with keeping Lynch now, I don't think we could offer him 2 years to bring him across, because I think that would stunt the development of the other kids. I would rather use Bolter up forward than bring in Myercheck for 2 years, I think. Justin's excited to see Lawler, Houghton, Armstrong, Fall, Smiley all playing the same team. And Helga, agree, mate, agree. It's going to be awesome. Craig, Lynch isn't providing much on field. We looked better with Cozzy. It's a tough one. I know what you mean. I know what you mean from an actual output perspective. I think the thing we can't measure as supporters, but they can as a club, is what he's offering to them from a leadership and guidance perspective. And I think that's what the value is with keeping Lynch around. It's not so much his actual output with marks, goals, and disposals. It's more to do with the knowledge and the leadership he can pass on to set these key forwards up to take the mantle from him when he retires. And that's something that we'll never, as supporters, know or have access to how valuable that is, maybe until 10 years' time when it gets spoken about by the club in a book, if you know what I mean. So I think there's going to be I think there'll be some really conflicting feelings between fans and club about Lynch in the years to come, however long he hangs around for. But I think it's pretty clear the club hold his teaching and mentor abilities in high regard, and they value that highly. Dave, we're a chance to win 6 this year. True, we've got one more chance. I mean, I know we've got 2 games, but I really can't see us beating Geelong. But yeah, no, we do have a chance against North. A full season from Lynch next year would make a massive difference. Just needs to lead up at the ball carrier. We need to change how we deliver it though, really. But yeah, just don't let Lynch be the guy on the mark. That's my only request. Can't expect too much output from Lynch now, just having around. Yeah, I think that's pretty much where we're at, Paul. I agree. Lynch and Prestia on base rate. How are we going to reach the cap floor? I don't know, widescreen. Taranto, Bolter, Hopper, maybe Seth Banks on Series Coin. And widescreen, to your point, that is exactly why I still can't help but shake the feeling that we're going to land a player. Because you have to pay the money to somebody. Those guys you mentioned, like you said, are already re-signed. Prestia and Lynch are on base wage. We've just freed up the money from Rioli, Bolton, Baker, Graham. Who else was there? Was there another one? Not sure if there was another one or not. We lost the Dusty money as well, Grimes money, Pickett money. Like, we freed up a shitload of cash in the season just gone, and we've got to find somewhere to put it. And I know that in the years to come, we're going to need to pay the young kids we've got now, but that's not for the now. Some of those guys have already had slight extensions, so maybe some of it's been absorbed there, but I wouldn't have thought it was a big amount. So I still think we've got a ridiculously big amount of cash to throw, and that's why I think that we're in the market for somebody. Who it is, I'm not sure, but yeah, it's hard to shake that fact. And Dylan, that's a good point. Lynchy takes the best forward, the best defender each week, so it does help the younger guys get the lesser defenders. Yeah, look, Paul, I guess kicking down the wing, typically, and I've made a video about this with some video analysis, that we, more often than not, we do actually look inboard to take the pass, but teams are getting so good these days at setting up to block off the corridor and to block off that dangerous kick that it's often just not there, and we do just go down the line. The alternate that we probably don't explore enough is we probably could work it backwards and across through the back 50 again and come out the other side if we move it quick enough. I don't think we do that too much, and we probably should explore that more because that's what teams do to us. But in the inboard kick, we 100% look for it. We just either don't pull the trigger quick enough and the other team can get enough time to set up, or they're already set up. But I think that will improve as development comes on, understanding of the game comes on from the youngsters. But no, I know, I definitely understand the frustration, but it's definitely not because of lack of trying, which is good. Like, I would rather us look at least to do it than to just not look and just go straight down the line. What was the Baker joke? Should trade Blight to Eagles for Liam Baker? I think it'd be a great pickup. I tell you what, Justin, Eagles fans severely underestimated how good of a pickup Baker would be. We were kind of spruiking him and talking him up when the trade was happening, and Eagles fans were shutting it down, saying, no, he won't be any good. And there's every chance he'll be their next captain. So, no, he's definitely been a good pickup for them. Harley Reid, DRV, it's just too much. I know it sounds contradicting, doesn't it? I know we've just kind of talked about that we've got a massive war chest, but there's a bit of a line where what he's asking for is way too much, I reckon. Way too much. Phil would have preferred Alex Davis than Roses. I'm not sure the Gold Coast would be prepared to let go of Davis, though, might be the only concern. Stephen, we're not sure yet. I feel like it's more elbow than wrist at a guess. Maybe it's both. It could honestly be both, but it doesn't look great, to be honest. So I'm sure we'll be all very flat when we see the injury report on Tuesday, which would be, very disappointing. Dave, you reckon we've got a war chest? Well, no, we do. We do. I think we can categorically say we've got a war chest. It's just wet. And this is why I still think the Zach Butters thing's alive. And I'm not at all saying that it's a lock. I'm definitely not saying that. But I think this is why we'll have our hand in a few different pots to try and make something happen, because, we do have money to spend. Our connection should look, Phil, I think that's a good point. Our connection should look much better with another pre-season. Uze has said that we are running off the bare basics in terms of structure and game plan for the forward half of the ground, and that's quite clearly evident. And I don't know about everybody else, but I really do think that our ball movement from the back half through the midfield sometimes looks really, really good. Well, it often looks really, really good. But it just gets made to look bad when it falls apart at the half-forward line. And I don't think it's not the midfield or the defender's fault who are transitioning the football. It's our lack of connection and cohesion in the forward line that really stops what we're doing. And we leave so many goals on the table because of it. And to your point, Phil, our forward line movement, patterns, game plan, whatever you want to call it, that needs to be priority number one in the off-season. That we must address that ASAP and get some type of functionality happening down there to make the connection complete, to actually get some reward for effort. Exactly right, Kat. Backline looks good. Midfield will develop and grow. We need to get the forward line working. And again, I'm okay if it's a Lynch Bolter as your two main big guys and then work around that. But we've got to just get something happening down there, because it's so a lot of our scores are like 40, 50 points this year. Next year, we need to be improving that. We need to be looking to score 65, 70 points a game. I know it won't happen week in, week out. There'll be games where you struggle to score, and there'll be games where we might score way more. But that should be our baseline average. I know it doesn't seem like a lot, but because we defend so well, us kicking 75 points can often lead to keeping us in games with how well we defend, funnily enough. Pardon me. Nuclear days, forget Reid, land a big fish next year. Depends on if we can have that money set aside or if we need to spend it or not. I don't reckon he'll take a discount to go to Victoria, unfortunately, widescreen. It sounds like his management are pretty keen to get pretty big dollars. Pretty big dollars. Stephen, Dersma, Lindsay, Marsh over Grill. Oof. I would definitely have Lindsay. The other ones, it's a bit of a flip of a coin, isn't it? Craig, agree. Gibus' body does seem to be holding up so far. I still reckon we'll give him a game against Geelong. It's just my gut feel. Could be wrong. If he gets through the full pre-season, then hopefully he can hit the ground running for round one. Widescreen, number 9's available for both Reid and Butters. Just while we're talking about Butters in particular, would people be comfortable if, as part of a potential lure to get Butters to the club, to offer him captaincy, not for 2026, but maybe for 2027. Would people feel comfortable to do that with someone like Zach Butters if it was a bit of a, not a deal breaker, but a way to get him over the line? Would we feel okay? Agree, Justin. The injuries up front have been diabolical. Dave, do you think we play draft prospects in our VFL to confuse other clubs who we're interested in? Last year we played 3, never drafted them. That's a really good question, Dave. That's a good question because you're right. I mean, in reality, we were in best position to pick up Finn O'Sullivan and Jagger Smith. Who was the other one we played? I'm not sure who the third one was. And we didn't go near him, did we? Well, yeah, we didn't. We didn't pick him. That's a really good point. I don't know. There might be something to that. I like your thinking. Kat, what's good about Bolter Ford is he also rucks. Agree. Gets him involved straight away. I 100% agree. And I was saying before, Kat, that I really do think the Bolter plays better when it's on instinct, which is what his rucking is. It's just see ball, get ball, and he's just running around like a headless chook. But I actually think that's his style. I think he plays better doing that. Did we play Harvey Langford, did we? There we go. I didn't realise that. Spend big on Toby Green, says Paul. Stephen Cosy had a ripper game tonight. Honestly, really had a good game. Really had a good game. Paul wants Farrow. Dave, Butters captain, no problem. Widescreen, I don't think Toronto will be happy if Butters get captaincy. Yeah, I can understand that. It's, yeah. But is it offset by bringing in a quality player that's going to benefit the team? I don't know. I get the point though. It's a fair call. Logan Morris's height was leading the goal kicking. Yeah, Marsh had a really good chance, didn't he? The SA Fords in total had a really good chance. They were super impressive, honestly. I guess it felt like that Taranto wanted captaincy. It almost felt like he was the face of the club in the off-season, didn't it? Everything seemed geared towards Taranto being captain this year. I think there was probably more people shocked that he wasn't than Nank was holding on to it. But I think we made the right choice ultimately. But yeah, it would be interesting. Well, yeah, I don't know, Kat. I mean, Taranto at the moment seems like a logical replacement if Nank didn't want it next year. But if we're talking about that being as a possibility to get Zach Butters over, I think we need to consider that and have that conversation if it was ever at all an option. But otherwise, yeah, Taranto does feel like he's probably next in line, I reckon. Lettuce would love to get Zach Butters. I think we'd all love to get Zach Butters in. But it'd be an interesting off-season. Do we think Nate goes around next year as captain? He's probably got a couple of years left as a player. I just feel bad for him. He gets so battered and bruised. He's an absolute warrior. But yeah, I just feel like we haven't had the appropriate support for him for a couple of years now, and we probably need to. David, love Butters as well. Yeah, I think we'd have to ask the question. We'd have to get amongst that conversation. It's going to be exciting, and I don't know how many of you watched the Wednesday show with Tiggs, but he's going to try and get the all clear to mention some of the names that he had been hearing that we are going to have an eye on, hopefully in a couple of weeks. So those names aren't A graders as such. It's more, he was talking about how we're wanting to try and fill that 23 to 26 age bracket. So these are more B grade to B plus players that we hope can get to A's. So there's a few names there that he's heard that he'll hopefully get the green light to say in a couple of weeks. But speaking to him off air, I hope I'm not out of school by saying this. Apologies if I am. But he definitely feels very strongly that we will land at least 2 players this off-season, maybe a third. And again, that's not 3 A graders. It might not even be 1 A grader. It might be 3 Bs to B pluses. And judging by the media, it seems and feels like that Rosa might be one of those players. So there still might be 1 more to come, maybe even 2. So he feels very strongly that we will be landing 2 players of some type in the off season, which would be interesting to see what we adds. what we had's what we had. G'day, Harry. We did leave. You might be being generous with 3 goals. I reckon we left a few out there, didn't we? Which is annoying. DRV would take Reed over Butters, injection of excitement into the club. Everyone would be watching and talking about the Tigers. I reckon we would have equal excitement for Butters and or Reed. I reckon he would be as exciting. I think at the moment, right now, Butters is the better player. Reed maybe has a higher ceiling. Will he hit it, though, is the question mark. From a consistency of an output perspective, I think Butters has him covered easily. Yeah, Stephen Dotson had a ripper game. Would love to be able to somehow swindle him away from St Kilda, but I'm not sure they'll let him go. It'd be a nice little handy replacement to have waiting in the wings, but I'm not sure we'll be able to execute that. Dave thinks Nank would prosper without captaincy. Maybe. I think he's had a really good year as captain. Like I was saying earlier, I think he, the big knock on him from a lot of people was his discipline, and giving away free kicks as captain seemed counterproductive. But it really feels like he's really nailed it this year, honestly. So I think he has had his best year as captain this year, I think, which might sound odd given the results, but are we still in for Flanders, Darren? I'm not too sure. I don't even know if we were to start with. All that was kind of spoken about with Flanders, like the media reported that he might be looking to move. And I guess everyone, we all just started to say, well, what does that look like if we're interested? If he is still open to wanting to come home, I think we should absolutely be involved in that conversation. I reckon Flanders would fit nicely into our midfield and half-back rotation wherever he wants to play. He's got good skill. And you got to, like, if you look at the Flanders stats from before Rioli and Noble arrived, he was smashing it. He was getting 30 plus disposals most weeks and killing it. So I would be, if Flanders is exploring the idea of moving, I think we should absolutely be asking the question. I think he'd be a very good addition. I'm not sure how much he would cost, but I would be all in for that discussion if it was to eventuate. Rationale, and like to your point, being an elite kick, Flanders would fit that mold. So that's why he would be a good person to ask the question of if he's interested in leaving. No, well, I don't think we could get Butters and Reed. I think that would be very optimistic. It'd be nice widescreen, wouldn't it? It'd be huge. I don't think that would ever eventuate. Justin's wanting Butters just to piss off Corns. I like it. Suns won by 19 points. Port leading by 14 points, 4 minutes into the last. Geez, Freo could bottle this. They need to win. Like, the top 8's tough. Mark, Harley should get his agent to pull his head in. The agent gets a huge cut. He should be more humble and take a lot less money. Remember Boyd, they're playing a big game, aren't they, Mark? If you look at his performances, though, this year, I really don't know if his performances this year warrant the money that they're asking. The potential side of things is where they're probably latching onto, but there's no guarantee that he hits his ceiling at West Coast or anywhere. It's a really interesting one with how much money. I mean, the manager's just doing his job at the end of the day, trying to maximize the amount of money made, but I don't know whether his output has warranted the figure being floated. Almost at 60 guys. Make sure you smash that like button. Hit subscribe as well if you aren't already subscribed to keep up to date with all the Richmond content. We appreciate all the love and support. We're trying to head towards 4,000 subscribers by the end of the year. I think we're at about 3,500 at the moment. Not too far to go, but hopefully we can get there before end of year. So we appreciate all the love and support. Craig, the ruck rules, and if they change, will have a huge influence. True. Need a Duff Tyler mobile type rather than, I'm not fully sold on Duff Tyler, but I do definitely get your point. The reason why I'm not sold on Duff Tyler is more to do with when we're going to need him to be ready by, like, let's say Nank's got 2 years left. Duff Tyler's not going to be ready in 2 years to number 1 ruck. Sims would be closer. Hayes Brown would be even closer again. So getting Duff Tyler wouldn't actually, I don't think, fix that issue for when we need it to. Maybe a bit further down the track, it looks a bit nicer. I just don't want it to be a waste of I don't know. I'm a really torn on that one. And I didn't really see much from him from the champs that I'm like, oh, wow, holy shit, must get this kid. I know a lot of people have him at number 1 in their mock drafts and things like that. I don't know. I just don't see it. I don't see it. And I could be wrong because I'm not a draft expert. Um, but yeah, the ruck rule, you're right, does make things a bit interesting. And Justin, that's why I kind of felt the same way about the Tom de Koning thing. Not for 1.7, I don't think I'd want to pay that for him, but if he was happy to go with a 1.1 to 1.3 million offer for us and he was interested, I wouldn't be against that because I think he's a really good number 1 ruck. But again, there's a small overlap period where Nate's still playing and he would be playing. Yeah, there's so many good things that we can do. So many good things. Rosa, so Rosa was sub tonight. There we go. They're trying to bump up his bloody trade value, aren't they? Rosa was sub. Flanders nickname Homer. Surely it has to be. Surely he's got a Simpsons related nickname. Yeah, I mean Reed he is their best player, but I felt this year's been super inconsistent for him. And again, I know his potential's huge, and he could be a generational player, but I just don't know, yeah, if it's warranting that number just yet. Yeah, well, exactly right, Justin. And, I know Teagues threw the theory out a few weeks ago of no forward structure, but Uze pretty much said as much in a recent press conference that we haven't got the structures working up forward yet. It's very, very basic and bare bones. So kind of checked out with what Teagues had heard from his footy mates in relation to that, which is, I guess, frustrating from a supporter perspective. But yeah, hopefully we can, not hopefully, we have to rectify that or address it in the off-season immediately, I would have thought. Port by 2, thank you, Paul. Our last game against us really put me off. Oh, Reed, yeah. Yeah, and funnily enough, Eons, that he was probably less complaining to the umps in our game than he was a lot of other games that he's played, from what I saw. Rationale, we do have a good relationship with the Sun. That is very, very true. Freo got 2 goals, 2 points in favour of Port. And Dave, I do tend to think that that's what will happen in terms of that we'll just trade for uncontracted or backup ruckman when the time's right. I'm sure Blair's already got a few names on his whiteboard of who he wants to target when all that sort of happens. Do we think that that's the biggest part of our side that we need to address? I think our defence is pretty well sorted. Our forward line, whilst not working well, we know is going to get there because of the key forwards we've drafted and they're just got to grow and develop. Is the ruck the number 1 spot we've got to look at, or is it another gun midfielder? What would we all prefer? Stupid sexy Flanders. I think we offer something unique to TDK. Chance he stays at a Melbourne big club. Wouldn't have the same expectations on him. Do we reckon that he's out of Carlton, though? Does everyone feel like that he's definitely on the way out? No, Sims was doing sort of okay, Stephen, up until he hurt himself badly. So I'm not looking forward to the injury report on Tuesday. I suspect we'll read something about a wrist or elbow injury that will see him out for the rest of the season. I without being a doctor, I can't see him playing any other game this season based on the amount of pain that he was in after that injury, which is very, very, very shit and unfortunate. Not good timing, especially for the VFL finals. Not good at all. Yeah, just pick up one when the time's right, Darren. It seems like though a lot of the backup ruckmen that are out there actually seem like that they're still contracted for a little bit, like a longer period. Teams are starting to kind of wise up and sign them for longer deals. So I don't know, what we'll do in that space. But in Blair we trust. Bo, what are your thoughts on the end of this year? Do we go back to the draft or try and get some free agents? Yeah, it's kind of been the hot topic recently. I think we try and do both. We were saying earlier that I do think that we'll try and split one of our picks, maybe with Gold Coast. So we'll take like a youngster with pick 2 or 3, whatever it looks like. And then maybe do you trade the other 2 picks or you might take some more youngsters. But from what even Tiggs has been saying, he really believes that we're going to bring in 2 players this year minimum. Not necessarily A graders, but just players in that 23 to 26 age bracket that might be B to B pluses, that then hopefully get to A's. And I think that's not a bad strategy as well. Kind of like your Hooley and Grigg types, which I know probably drew some criticisms when they happened at the time, but obviously turned out pretty well for us. So as long as we identify the right type of player, I think we definitely need to bring in some players of age though. But yeah, adding some more youngsters, if we can do both, that's ideal, because we get Callaway as well. Just while everyone's here, Monday, I've got a video dropping of Archie Daffy's highlights from his recent APS game for Geelong against Wesley. He had, I think it was 16 disposals, 4 goals, 4 tackles, including the game-winning goal. I don't know how long was left, but it was a nice little check side goal. And young Archie's actually playing some midfield minutes now, playing as an inside-outside midfielder. He's been really working on his sort of ground ball gets and clearance work. Got good pace on the outside. So he's a father-son prospect for 2026. He's doing some good work for the Geelong Falcons as well. And yeah, I'm really excited to see what Archie does next year in his proper draft year. But keep an eye out for that on Monday. I think Monday night I've got that coming out. So have a look out for that. So I was scrambling for the mute button then while I was coughing. TDK's nickname should be Cassette Tape. That makes sense. That's a good one. Dave, I think we need a speedy, skillful midfielder, but I guess every team needs him. Yeah, I think that's the hard part, isn't it? Everyone's chasing the same player type, aren't they? I guess I'm not a fan of Sharp at a high pick. Yeah, and maybe that's why some people have Sharp a bit further down in their mock drafts than others. He's a difficult one, isn't he? Because he was definitely the best performed of the champs, I reckon. Port by 2, 11 minutes left. Jesus. Dabo wants Sharp and the Bison. Justin, so if the current crop are going to take 2 to 3 years to flourish, and then the older brigade like Flossie, Broadneck can retire, how long does it take to get back in the window? And that's the $1 million question. And we were saying before, this is why it's important to bring in some players in that middle age bracket now. But I think we have to, where possible, try and really manage a drip feed of these retirements, because there's definitely been some speculation that we might have a secondary drop once we lose Yanane Curvis, Prestia, Broad, Vlosten, Lynch. So that's 5 players, and it'll have to be over 1,000 games experience easily. That's a lot to lose. So we know definitely we're losing Nathan Broad next year. He's already said 2026 is his last year. So that's him gone. The question then becomes, do Prestia and Lynch get another 1-year deal each? Does one get a 1-year deal and one retire? Vlosten feels like that he'll play a few more years yet, I hope. But if we can somehow spread out their retirements over the next 4 or 5 years, rather than happening all in 1 to 2 years or 3 years, I think we'll be okay. Because at the moment, with Brody and Vlosten in particular, they're pretty much giving on-the-job training to Luke Traynor, to Sam Banks, to Tom Brown, Miller, Young, etc. Gibus will hopefully be in there at some point. So they're kind of getting good on-the-job training with those guys in the system at the moment, and they need to just keep working with them and get them up to scratch for when that comes. But yeah, to your point, I think the key to this is dragging out how long these retirements take. We have to stagger them as best we can. We can't afford to have it all happen in 1 to 2 years. If it does, I think we will decline for another year if that was to happen. Stephen, I reckon we'd be looking at a 3rd rounder for Blight. The fact that we're not playing him, we can't ask for a second. I think it'll just be a 3rd round pick, which we may end up having to use for Callaway, because I really do think Callaway's climbing the draft ranks and people are just underrating him a little bit. His body of work and form has been huge. Freo by 5, there we go. So how many games is Vlosten on, Harry? What's he on? Dabo, Gibus, Brown, Young, Miller, Traynor. Yeah, it's healthy. You'd probably want a couple of extras there for backup, I guess. But yeah, we need to get them up to speed. Bolter can play down there too, I guess, as well. Jack Lees, I haven't actually looked up some sample stats for a while. I'll have to look it up. But yeah, I can't remember the last game I looked at for him. But yeah, he's a father-son for next year as well. Young Jack. Will Parker from Collingwood could be a handy halfback flank. Yeah, we'll have to find a ruckman from somewhere, Darren. Pick the eyes out of everyone. Craig, Miller, and Young aren't young now. How old are Miller and Young? Short will obviously finish up soon as well, so that's another one that we have to factor in. Steve, is Oscar Robertson a chance to be picked up? I don't know about Oscar. I didn't mind the look of him, to be honest, in the games that I watched. But he hasn't nominated or been nominated to do the combine testing, which is typically not a good sign. I don't know fully how the NGA rules work. From what I read, and please someone tell me if I'm wrong, but if he doesn't get drafted, we can put him on as a Category B rookie. Is that right? Have I got that correct? If that's the case, if he doesn't get drafted, I reckon we will Category B rookie him. I actually liked the look of him. I thought he looked okay. A bit to work with there. Yeah, there's a few good father-sons coming through, which is nice. Yes, Sharp's kicking skills have been what the criticism have been. It's really tricky, though. I sometimes think that draft watchers are maybe overly critical of sometimes the kicking of players. Because, like, they're just kids. Not all of them are going to be elite kicks. They're all going to make mistakes at times. I don't know. It's a tricky one to judge. Miller's 25, but only with 67 games played. Voston's on 254 games. And Young's 26. Okay. Yeah, I mean, I guess there's a bit of time to plan post that. But yes, I do definitely take the point that they're not exactly 22, 23. But hopefully Gibus can then take over and whoever else we can draft through. Henry Smith looks grouse. Lindsay would be good for Short, trainer and board. I agree. That's why I'm a big fan of Lindsay, because he can take over from Jaden Short. That would be a nice little transition. Cat, it would be typical that the AFL changed the father-son rules when we started to have come through. You're not wrong. The only thing I'll say, I'm so torn, because next year we have 2 father-sons coming through. But if scrapping the father-son rule came into effect next year and it meant that Carlton then didn't get access to Cody Walker, it would be unbelievably funny. And I'd always be prepared to run the gauntlet on Daffy and Lees if it meant that we could get Walker. It would be highly amusing if that did happen. Highly amusing. Yeah, I reckon Louis Callaway is going to be a bit of a dark horse. It's the only part I'm a little bit confused on. I don't know where he'll fit into the team just yet, because our midfield's going to be stacked. I don't think he's going to be above your Lawlers, your Hottons, your Smileys. But yeah, maybe he finds himself I think he'll find himself in the back line in the VFL. Maybe he has midfield stints in the VFL as well. But he does a lot of things really, really well. He's calm, composed, finds the ball on the inside and the outside, hits his targets more often than not. And I think he's going to be a player. AFL should keep NGA. Agreed, Jill. Keep NGA, scrap father-son. That would be... I would get banned from Twitter, I'm pretty sure, if that happened. I'd get banned. Sharp's probably the most improved from last year in the champs. Yeah, he did. Yeah, he had a pretty good champs. And like, I've said this before, I'm not trying to take away from Sharp's champs. He was very, very good. But this is why I really loved Callaway's champs too, because Callaway pretty much gave Sharp an extra 8 disposals a game because he fed him just quality ball to the outside and let Sharp do the damage. So they had a really good working relationship, Sharp and Callaway. And I guess that's where a lot of people wanted to try and draft both, keep them together. But yeah, South Australia have got some good talent coming through. They got Dougie Cochran next year, who's looking really, really good. Porter trying to get him as an NGA, which seems like a bit of a shifty thing to do. But Do you think we should try? We should keep trying with Walker? Has its only intention to commit to the Carlton? I mean, I guess there would be some type of obligation at some level for us to keep in contact with Walker, but he's obviously told someone somewhere, the club, and then or Carlton, whoever the AFL, that he has the intention to nominate Carlton, which is fair enough. We all thought that was going to be the case anyway. I feel like, though, that the club would still keep in touch. Maybe our interactions reduce substantially. Unless we hear that this father-son rule is going to fall over, then maybe ramp him back up again. I don't know. Like I said, it would be extraordinarily funny if they scrapped father-son next year and the Blues didn't get him. It would be wonderful. He's a good player, though, Cody. He's going to be a very, very good player. And truthfully, I still don't think that him picking Carlton's the best move for his football. But that's maybe with a bit of rose-coloured Richmond glasses on. But if I'm looking at both lists and the trajectory of both lists, and with Tassie coming in, I think there's going to be a bit of pain to come for the Blues before there will be for us. I think we're going through the pain now. So, Dave, I think Sonzi will ask for a trade. Was not happy when he got subbed a couple of weeks ago. Yeah, I'm torn on this one, Dave. I wouldn't blame Sonzi if he wanted more opportunity elsewhere, but I do think that moment in time has made him a better player, and we've seen him become a better player since that point in time. So I reckon after that, there was, from what I've heard, a conversation had with he and Uze about what's required, and Sonzi wanting to prove himself and this, that, and the other. And I really think he's taken some really good steps forward since then, and it's starting to feel like he's starting to feel he belongs and needs to be at AFL level. I really hope we offer him a deal. But I guess the question becomes, will someone else come in with a bigger offer with more security, more money that's more enticing for him? And you couldn't blame him for taking that if that was the case. But I think since that moment, he has definitely improved as a footballer. And credit to him. Yeah, Stephen. So Lynch and Prestia definitely seem like they'll be on the one. Well, Lynch definitely on a 1 year deal. And if you watch Uze's press conference yesterday, he said that Prestia, they're in talks already to try and get that over the line. But the way Uze was talking, he was talking in years, not year. So it seems like the club's view and conversation is they're happy to go year to year. But Uze seems to have a view of them maybe doing more than just 1 year. Depending on how long it takes to transition the other players into the midfield roles. I reckon that I think that might mean that Camden may not get one. I feel like we were probably going to maybe do 2 of the 3. I wouldn't be, I've always said I wouldn't be against Camden getting a 1 year, but not with a guarantee to play AFL games. I think he would be, you sign you for a year, but you're playing VFL unless we need you to come in. I don't know whether he would want to do that, and that's fair enough too. I just think there needs to be a circuit breaker where we get past some of these players. And I think the midfield's too tricky to just cut completely. We need to keep Prestia. The forward line, we need Lynch. But the wings, I think we can throw the players we've got already onto the wings. Like Trezise and Hugo, Trainer, Sonzi, players like that, they can run the wings now, I think. So I think there's less need for Camden to influence and help in his role than what there was for Prestia and Lynch. So I wouldn't be surprised if Camden maybe finishes up. Yeah, he's just in our zone, Roman. He's just in our zone. It's one of those really weird and unlucky ones. It doesn't happen all that often, I don't reckon, the father-son / zone, but it's just a random set of circumstances. And maybe that happens, Dave. I'm not too sure. I'm not too sure how that all works if he's nominated. Oh, Rosie goal poured up by a point. God damn. And David, it does sound like that Prestia is very much wanting to get into that coaching side of things, doesn't it? So Prestia might get 2 years, 1 year in senior side, 1 year in VFL coaching on field. And he's already doing some coaching on field too. And this is why it's good to have on-the-job learning with these youngsters coming through. DRV, I won't say that you're nuts. I definitely understand what you're saying. Like if we just look at purely the games that we've lost by small margins, if you look at today, you look at GWS and then the Kangaroos game, if we kick 2 more goals across those 3 games, we've won 8 games and we're sitting 12th. If we had an uninjured list the whole year, which is, I mean, that's obviously unrealistic to expect, of course, but were there any other games that we think it maybe would have kept us in? I don't know. Like, I don't think it would have made any difference against the top 8 teams we played. Like, we wouldn't have got any closer against Bulldogs or Adelaide, Geelong, those, and Gold Coast the second time. I think those teams are just quality and they're just far better than us currently. Hawthorn, BM, I don't know. I think it would have definitely converted those other 3 games though, which is what we need to do next year. Scores are level again. J Tiger, who are the 3 to 5 players who come off our list? So there needs to be at least 3 changes. Yeah. I think it'll be out of scores level, 50 seconds left. Jesus. I think it'll be out of Bauer, Dow, Kalina. Caleb Smith might be in amongst that. McIntosh might be in amongst that. Blightwood is probably going to get traded from what it seems like. So I think we'll obviously easily hit the 3, but it's whether we go any more than that. Oh, wow. Freo up with 44 seconds to go. I'm watching my phone now. Let's see if I'm quick enough to load up Foxtel Go. Yeah, 10th's the best we could have gotten. Hang on, we're trying to get the footy up here. Watch live. I'm not trying to be rude looking at my phone, but you've all got me excited about the football. 42 seconds. Free kick to Port. Oh, shit. Sweet's got the ball. Puts it forward inside 50. Oh, Rosie's gone up. It's going to be Stacks on the ball here. 30 seconds to go. Rosie's cramping. There's someone else grabbing a hamstring. They're all cramping. Rio still up 86 to 92. Ball up. 45 out and Port's forward 50. Sean Darcy's got no idea what he's doing. He's turned it over. Oh, you don't want to give away a free kick here. Oh, Darcy's marked it. Oh, was that 15? Wow, he's just got to kick the ball down the line. That's going to be game. Freo are going to hold on. Wow. Oh, hang on. Oh, Jesus. Holy shit. Come from behind win from Fremantle. They keep their season alive. That was a must win for them. That's a bad loss for Port. Layla was really impressive for real. He definitely was. Like, in a lot of ways, it's a compliment. In some ways, it's a bit scary that not how reliant we were on Lawler, but how much as supporters, I think as players, that we all acknowledge how much of a difference he would already make to our team, just in terms of his skill and class, goal kicking and everything like that. He does make a big difference. And yeah, the way he went down was brutal. But I'm looking forward to seeing him hit the full pre-season, full ground running for his first big AFL pre-season in November. Yeah, the Sydney game was big as well, wasn't it, Cap? Brisbane, I tell you what, I think it was Ashcroft who had that last shot at goal that fell short. If he actually had to kick the goal himself rather than it falling short on the goal line, that would have given him about 8 seconds and there might have been a chance to score again to win. I don't know how he didn't make the distance from 45, to be honest, but that definitely hurt him. Freo win. Dave the Dash, even a 4th round pick for Blight gets us Callaway. Yeah, you'd probably push for a 3rd rounder, but you're right. I'm with you, Kat. I'm viewing Smiley as a new recruit as well. I think that's the best way to view him, a new recruit for next year, which is awesome. Alex Pearson and Aliria both kick goals in the game. Not sure you'll see 2 full-backs kick goals in the same game. That's true. They've both decided to float forward and jag a goal. Couple of big games then. Was there another game on tonight? I'm actually scared to look at what Bolton's Supercoach score was because I literally dropped him yesterday for a Geelong player. What did he get? 87. Oh, so probably not so bad. Lear Butters. Okay, so I was actually going to almost put in Jordan Sweet, so I've probably dodged a bullet there. Rao scored big, 146. That's annoying. DeConing only got 75. Seriously, he's been full shit. Hewitt 82. I'm going to lose this first final. This is embarrassing. God damn. Gibus will feel like a new recruit. Well, in some ways, Declan. Yeah, in some ways, that's not a bad point. He definitely could feel like a new recruit, but look, we've got one more chance. Well, I know we've technically got two more chances to win a game, but I feel like the Geelong game's a bit of a write-off. But hopefully we can put in a big performance against the Kangaroos. We might have to do a live show for the Kangaroos game as well, potentially, being that it's in Tassie. Selection will be interesting. Does Trainer come straight back in? Who else would be available? That might be it. I don't know whether there'd be too many other changes. I think everyone got through unscathed. So yeah, there might be minimal changes for that game, but that'll be interesting. But that will be a wrap for tonight because I can feel my voice going, which isn't great. But thank you to everybody for tuning in tonight to the VFL Live. Obviously good to get the win and secure our spot in the wildcard/finals for the VFL. We should see a heap of VFL players coming back, or AFL players coming back who can play VFL for finals, which is good. That'll keep us in hopefully in the mix to go deep into the final series, which we'll keep a close eye on. Tomorrow, there's a video dropping tomorrow talking about player contract statuses. I think I talked about the Tom Lynch signing as well and what that means for us. Monday, there's a video coming out about with Archie Duffy's highlights at 7:30 p.m. or 7 o'clock on Monday night, I think it might be. And there'll be plenty of other videos dropping as well. We've got the Monday night weekly show, the Wednesday night show, injury reports, everything else. So we'll have plenty going on in the coming weeks, no doubt. Yeah, Sims did well. I'm hoping it's hyperextended, Dave, because that would actually be a better result than what it looks like. It looked pretty bad. If it's a hyperextension, he's got away with it well, to be honest. So I'm guessing we'll find out more on Monday or Tuesday, whenever the injury report is. So thank you again tonight for joining, guys. Appreciate all love and support. Make sure you subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. We're on the march for 4,000 subs by the end of the year. And make sure you share and like the videos whenever you see them pop up. It helps out tremendously. And we appreciate all of your time tonight on the Tigercast. And until Monday for the live show, go Tigers.